Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Co-Optional Podcast. Me tuning the podcast, see?
By the way, Dodger, you're absolutely right. I finally caught up on the stream. Our intro is the best intro on the internet.
It's pretty good, right?
Like, just hands down the best intro. Let's be
clear. Yeah. That's
I hadn't
absolutely
seen
phenomenal.
the new intro. I liked it.
You hadn't seen that?
I hadn't. I mean,
You
I
don't watch
you
our
guys
show?
every week.
You're awful. What the hell?
I mean, I've heard it. I have it on my iPod Shuffle.
I've watched it so much that I forgot.
I ripped it off of YouTube and then made it into an MP3 and put it on my Zune.
I made my own anime music video with it using Linkin Park's In the End.
Wait, with those songs layered? Look, if somebody out there can actually layer In the End with our theme song and have it work.
That would be tricky. That's not even the same key signature. It
I
could
know,
be tricky.
it'd be so good.
I mean, they could,
Figure
but
it out.
it doesn't even matter.
Indeed. It is important, however, that before we start the show, I've been to quite a few shows in the United States lately, particularly WWE shows, and you guys love your national anthem. Like, you really do. Absolutely.
Especially at WWE, let's be honest.
They love it there. When ISIS threatened to attack Survivor Series, we were like, we're going to sing and scare you, and they didn't show up, so it obviously worked, you know? They were terrified of Lillian Garcia's singing. But I think it's important that we also engage in something along these lines, especially considering the circumstances of the last few days. So if you would all please bow your heads in respect as we bring to you the Fuck Konami national anthem. Oh, fuck Konami, fuck Konami, fuck Konami.
Is someone graduating?
Fuck Konami. Brains like dried salami, killed off Silent Hill. Fuck Konami. Yes, we certainly will. Fuck Konami. Get on the treadmill. Failure tsunami. Dickheads with no chill. Fuck Konami. This is not a drill. Fuck Konami. Castlevania is kill. Fuck Konami. Fuck Konami. Fuck, yes, fuck Konami. Yes, we certainly will. Fuck Konami with the power drill. Fuck Konami. That will do. There we go.
That was the longest effing song.
It's like actual graduation. It just doesn't
yeah,
stop.
someone graduated.
Now, if someone could put Linkin Park on top of that...
Oh, can someone remix that? Oh my god. Oh my god. But to In the End by Linkin Park.
Absolutely. In the end, Pachinko doesn't even matter.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, I probably should have checked that track before playing it, before realizing, oh yeah, that actually loops where I didn't expect it to. But never mind, I'm sure it'll be fine. The sentiment is what matters, really. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. Fuck Konami.
True.
For those wondering why we think fuck Konami, holy shit, if you saw the Game Awards this week, or last week, whenever it was, Jesus Christ.
The salt was palpable.
It really was. I think it was extremely satisfying to hear Konami get booed by an entire room of people. That was
so
wonderful.
good.
Well, it's the Game Awards, so it wasn't an entire room. It was like maybe 1/3 of the room.
Oh!
Yeah.
Pew, 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 pew. Shots
There
fired.
were lots of empty seats every time they showed the audience.
That is true, yes, yeah. That is very true.
I will say, no matter what you think, Keeley definitely was like, that was a huge FU to Konami, and that was pretty ballsy. That was a ballsy thing to do at an event.
I don't know if it's really that ballsy, because if Konami's not making any more video games, why the fuck do you care what they think of you?
Well, I mean, I guess that's true, but in a climate of like game industry where, you know, you have to kiss enough ass to get people to show up to your awards. Like, that's how it works. Like, you kiss everyone's ass and give them a little time. Konami, they were just like, you know what? Piss off. And that was a nice send-off to Konami. We'll never see them again.
I hope so. Welcome to the Crucial Podcast. We do occasionally talk about video games. Jeff Keighley and our special guest, ProJared. Welcome to the show.
Everybody.
It's been a while since you've been on, man.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years, I think.
Yeah, I think you might very well be right.
There's good reason for that.
You don't
but
call?
welcome back.
That's
true.
We do. You're in our YouTube support group. Like, we talk to you all the time.
I watch your show all the time.
Really? Yeah. So much that you've got the intro.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's like, I skipped the intro because I wanted to just preserve that crystal clear memory of it. I didn't want to ruin it through repetition, right? That's how it works.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Some things are just so flawless, you just don't want to mess with them too much, or they shatter in your hands.
That is true, yeah. It's very important to know that.
Mm-hmm.
Must be careful with it. Welcome to the Crucial Podcast. We do occasionally talk about video games. Coming up in the show, we're going to be talking about the games that we have been playing this week, and then I think most of the discussion after that will be the Video Game Awards. We're going through the nominations, talking about how Undertale got fucking robbed over and over and over again.
I
couldn't tell if, when you tweeted about that, I couldn't tell if you were
serious.
I don't agree with that.
If you were serious or if you were trying to make people like me angry.
I don't know. I mean, part of it definitely was that, like, but no, I actually do think that they got robbed in some categories, but we can definitely talk about that a little bit later after we've talked about the games we've been playing this week. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a good time to start doing just that. It's either that, I'm gonna have to talk about how fucking amazing it was to watch a bunch of WWE wrestlers streaming Windjammers last night on YouTube before the fucking live Raw show, and having the stream end by one of the bad guy wrestlers getting super kicked in the face by another guy, and then immediately the stream cutting out. It was fucking glorious. Oh my god.
That's amazing.
It is.
I love Windjammers.
Windjammers is fucking awesome.
It's a great game.
Yep. It's like, wow. This is, the internet is weird. Like, if you told me 10 years ago, it's like, yeah, so what the WWE is going to be doing now is playing Windjammers before the show on a live stream. I'd be like, what? What the fuck are you on?
I want to know what WWE intern was like, hey, you guys ever hear of Windjammers? And, like, brought up two of them. There's no way that anyone in WWE knows what fucking Windjammers is.
What's his face is a gamer?
Xavier Woods. So,
yes.
so...
I don't know WWE at all.
Yeah, so basically this all kind of came about. There is now a WWE wrestler that has a Let's Play channel. It's called Up, Down, Down. His real name is Austin. His ring name is Xavier Woods. And his kind of gimmick is he brings wrestlers on, usually like in the backstage area, he just has a little recording setup back there, and plays video games with them, and uploads them to YouTube channel. And like he's genuinely into gaming. Like he shows up at PAX and E3 and shit, he cosplays. He cosplayed at Dragon Con, like a gender-bent Jewel, I think, is what he was cosplaying there. He showed up on one episode of Raw with a haircut from the movie Hook, which was awesome. He also played the Final Fantasy victory song in the middle of a live Raw show on a trombone.
Oh, I saw that clip.
Yeah, you saw that clip.
I saw that clip.
Yeah.
That's him. Okay.
Yeah, that guy is legit. We actually got to meet him. They came to Charlotte, just doing a house show, and we got to meet him. And he's really, really awesome. And
Dude, props to that guy.
Yeah, he's great. Like they're actually legitimately interested in gaming, which is, I think, really cool. And I'm very surprised that WWE let them do it, but I hope they keep doing that. So, yeah, Rufio, that was the name of the guy's haircut that he had. He was cosplaying
the Rufio haircut?
Rufio haircut on the show. Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, that movie's still not very good. I don't care what
No,
it
it's
says.
not.
That movie's great. Oh, it is. It's so good. I love that movie.
No, not a very good movie.
I
Hook
love
is not a
the
good movie.
side
It's like
plot of
Space Jam.
Tinkerbell wanting to
Space
bang
Jam.
Peter Pan.
Not a good movie. All the movies you loved when you were a kid, watch them again. They're awful.
Whoa,
They're
it's called Three
bad.
Ninjas
I very
Bad.
recently watched Hook, and I still love that movie. So
it's a horrible movie.
I'm glad to hear
I have
that.
not watched Space Jam in years, though.
Space Jam, awful movie.
I mean, Space Jam was awful when it came out. It's still awful now, let's be honest.
No,
You guys
Space Jam
are
was so good when I was a
totally
kid.
wrong.
No,
Horrible.
I'm not okay
Not-
with that. Let's talk about the games we've been playing this week. That sounds like a good idea. Who wants to kick it off?
I'll go first because I've been doing old boring stuff.
Yes, excellent.
So
That's good. We like
all
that.
throughout the month of December on my main channel, I'm doing everything is Dungeons and Dragons themed. So I'm doing D&D December throughout all this month on my channel.
I see what you
That's
did
fun.
there.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I've been playing a
I
bunch
don't
of
get it.
really old D&D games.
Okay.
Eye of the Beholder 2, Dungeon Hack.
Oh my god, that is old.
Yeah. Like I've been playing a lot of that stuff rather than actual video games at the moment.
I was gonna say, there's quite a lot of decent D&D games that you could be
There's
playing.
a lot of really good D&D games.
You
Of course,
can
there's
play.
always, the Baldur's Gate, Planescape,
Icewind
Icewind
Dale,
Dale. I was always a huge fan of Neverwinter Nights.
Yep,
because
Neverwinter
that was
Nights
a
is
great
really good. Yep,
iteration of 3rd edition.
no doubt.
Speaking of which, I wouldn't plan this at all, but who watching right now wants a free copy of Sword Coast Legends, courtesy of Wizards of the Coast? I'll hold the code up to the camera, and then
Joke's
right,
on
like,
you. It's too white. Nobody can
too white.
see it.
oh shit.
Take a photo of it and put it on your Twitter.
I've done that plenty of times already.
Nobody can read that. Nobody.
Nobody can read it.
This is a great idea.
Perfect
Failure.
edit.
Massive
Is there
failure.
actually a code on the back of that? I can't even see it. I just
There
see a
actually
big
is a
white.
code, yeah.
Okay.
You tried to cox this stream and you goofed. There's
Yeah.
only one.
You're
baby.
gonna have to
Something
write
like
it out. You're gonna have to write it out. Nobody can see it.
Damn it.
I haven't had a chance to play Sword Coast Legends yet. I've heard mixed opinions on it.
It's honestly quite mixed.
Yeah.
Because it's based off the new 5th edition D&D set.
Okay.
And it does an okay job of that, but it's honestly closer in line to it's almost a little it's closer in line to 4th edition or even an MMO where all of your spells and abilities are on cooldowns.
Too basic and
Yeah, so you're going through cooldowns more so than actually playing Dungeons and Dragons compared to, say, Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
But the DM mode, the instant dungeon mode, that stuff's great.
That's what I like the look of the most. Although
Yes,
it
that
kind
stuff's
of
cool.
it reminded me a little bit of what they're doing with Fable Legends, which I'm actually really looking forward to. Where Jesse and Dodger no doubt remember the fun times that we had with Dungeon Land, which was one of the first games that really did the whole one versus all thing. And I love that level of asymmetry. And I was kind of hoping that that's what Sword Coast Legends would be. And it's a bit like that, but it's kind of clunky, and I don't think you really have enough control in the instant DM mode. What do you reckon to that?
I haven't actually got a chance to do the DM mode myself. I've played it, but haven't.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I've heard that the DM mode does not give you a very high level of control over
doesn't.
things. Like they made it seem as though you would be able to basically create whatever you wanted to and have a lot of control, and you actually don't.
Yeah.
Right. I know it's also missing a lot of stuff from the full game. Like this Sword Coast Legends has a total of 5 or 6 classes compared to the 13 that actually exist.
Yeah.
And there's some fan favorites missing, like Druid or Monk.
That's kind of always going to be the case in a lot of D&D games, though. I mean,
Not for the most part. Unless you're Baldur's Gate or Neverwinter Nights.
Yeah, that is very true. Because I mean, the amount of depth that those games had was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. The thing is, I think with a sort of instant DM mode, you've got to think about the way that the game is designed as to whether or not it will even work. Because you've got to do all this stuff in real time. It's got to be done relatively quickly. And I think the way that Dungeon Land did it was pretty cool. It mostly focused on this energy bar and you being able to create packs of monsters ahead and traps, and then being able to play as the boss. That, I think, was the coolest part of it. You could control the boss, and you got all the abilities of the boss, and you got to play the boss kind of like a player character. and that worked really, really well. I think with D&D, though, when you're trying to create a story and have like more of a roleplay-like experience, and yet trying to do that in real time with a kind of toolbox, it's going to be pretty difficult to do that properly.
I'd imagine it has the pause button in it,
Yeah, it
much
does.
like Neverwinter Nights and Baldur's Gate. So I imagine that has much more liberal use when playing the DM mode.
Yeah.
Potentially. Again, I couldn't tell you for sure because I haven't done it myself.
Yeah. I know you can build
At
a
least doing it.
campaign beforehand. I know that's
you can build it
possible.
all up beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't really had too much of a chance to play it. What I played of it in the beta was so-so, definitely.
And that's how I felt kind of going through the main campaign. It was just very,
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of there. Did you get a chance to play during, and you're going to have to if you haven't already, did you play the side-scroller, the D&D side-scroller?
Oh, the Tower of Doom and Chronicles over Mystara? Or
Yeah.
Shadows over Mystara? Absolutely.
Fucking love those games.
That's that's like my next main D&D December video is going to be is covering those games because those are incredible beat 'em up games. Like these are like that's my favorite arcade game of all time is Shadows over Mystara.
They're great.
Because I had many stories of going to a pizza place in Eagle River, Wisconsin with $5 worth of quarters to go and play Tower of Doom and try to beat it with my brothers. And we never could because that game is balls hard.
It's so
And I played as the
good.
elf, so I just had very little hit points.
Yeah, I think it is on Steam, isn't it? Like, you can actually...
Oh,
yeah,
I'm looking, now that you
weirdly
mention it,
enough,
I'm looking it up right now.
it
But
is
the collection's
so
on Steam.
good.
It's on Steam. It's on Wii U. I know it's on PS3 and Xbox 360. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One store, but it's all downloadable at the moment. It's only $15 for both games, online play. Not a whole lot of extras, but phenomenal arcade games. Cannot recommend. recommend
I
them
mean,
enough.
if you liked Golden Axe and shit
That's
like
exactly
that,
what I was about to say.
Yeah,
it's Golden Axe, but
yeah, it blows Golden Axe out of
Golden
the
Axe
water.
plus
Yeah, but
shitload
better
yeah.
Golden Axe, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really, really good. Like, the fact that they even released this on PC was a surprise. I actually owned a copy of this game, and I had to get an import cart for my Sega Saturn to do it. And that game probably cost me over $100 at the time, because it was considered to be one of the best arcade ports that the Saturn had ever done. And for some incredibly stupid fucking reason, they didn't bring it out in the US, even though it was clearly a game that would have done really well here. And it was awesome, because I love those side-scrolling brawlers, and it's one of the best ones I think that's ever been made. And it has these really cool little RPG elements in there. Like, it's no Guardian Heroes, but it's pretty fucking
It's still got
close.
plenty. Also,
Yeah.
We got the War Machine. We did it, Reddit.
Yay!
it's also got a surprisingly accurate recreation of the D&D basic rule set. That's one of the best parts about it. Down to like elves only leveling up after like level 7 only get so many hit points per level. Fighters get so many hit points up to that level. When you fight a dragon, they only use their breath weapon 3 times per day. All that shit. It's awesome.
It's a stupid amount of weird detail that most
Yes.
people wouldn't even notice unless they were really into like old school editions of D&D. It's really cool.
And I saw all of this, like even as a kid, which is why it like blew my mind so much, and it just did it so well. When they were developing this game, they actually did the story as an actual D&D campaign first to see if it would work, and then brought it over into the arcade game.
The really good arcade cabinets had like 4 players, didn't they?
4 players.
They swapped to 4 player. It's so good.
Oh, this is so dope. It has 2 games. It's the
The original
Shadows
and the
too.
sequel. Sequel has 6 player classes. On that one also allows 2 people to be the same class thanks to sprite swapping.
instant purchase.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
get to
I'm
like
gonna
make choices, which is awesome, and that like gives it a lot of replayability.
A crap ton.
Yeah, it's a kick-ass game. It's really, really cool. If you like side scrollers and kind of like the Neo Geo style of arcade, it's very, very, very colorful. Still sort of 2D side scrolling. It's like kind of the pinnacle of what 2D side scrolling kind of became before the 3D era. You know, around the sort of Saturn PlayStation transition period. And it was really great quality animations, great frame rate, really colorful, awesome character sprites. Yeah, it's brilliant. Love that game.
That's what I've been doing.
That's not a bad thing to be doing, honestly.
It feels
Doing
great.
it.
Yeah, I want to go back and play that now. I should. So good.
Yeah, man. I'm literally gonna buy that, and we should totally make.
I think there is
video
online play on the PC version, right?
It says get your friends involved. I assume.
Yeah, it's got multiplayer, co-op, and local co-op. It does have netcode, if I recall correctly. So I think you can play it online.
Jared! Oh, no.
Yay.
We lost him.
Where'd Jared
He
go?
got to tell us his.
He went to go play Chronicles from the Star. He's like, fuck this noise. We're getting out of
I'm
here.
outta
I don't got
here.
time for this.
Yeah. Hold on, while we should hopefully have the call back in a second. Certainly there. No, maybe. Okay.
Gone.
I'm sure he'll be
Lost.
back. It's all right.
Uh-oh.
He'll be back in a moment, no doubt. All right. There he is. He's back. Good.
Time Warner
Wonderful.
Cable, everybody.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I had my Time Warner cable just die for no reason last week, and they're like, yeah, we need to go and just replace the line because there's a voltage problem on there. I'm like, what? How did that happen? I was like, well, okay.
I like how
Voltage problem?
Yeah, apparently a voltage problem on the actual line itself. So, like, yeah, we're just going to replace the line. I'm like, okay, then. So they come out and replace it. I was like, yeah, we don't have time to bury the line, so we're just going to kind of leave it on the lawn. We're going to come and bury the line next week. And we got a call this morning saying, yeah, they can't bury the line for some reason. I'm like, what? So you're just going to leave the cable on the lawn? Right.
Christ.
Yeah,
Good.
it's... That they might have to deal with that.
I had a good Time Warner Cable experience where my wireless stopped working, and I called and did like the live chat with 4 different people before somebody figured out what was wrong. I was like, "You guys are worthless. You're fucking worthless."
Do you do business class or do you just do the residential?
I do residential.
Yeah, I will say one thing for business class, despite the fact that we get reamed for how much it costs us. We get straight through to customer service, and they do fix it immediately. Like it doesn't matter what it is, they'll have fixed it, and I never have to call back, which is kind of nice. Considering we pay $600 a fucking month for 300 down and 20 up on business class, they'd fucking well better. They should be sending me flowers every month for the amount that we pay them.
Only 20 up?
Yeah, that's the best we can get in this area. 20 up. Like I've been doing professional YouTube for 5 years with 5 up. Like, it's been uploading 1080p 60. It's been awful. Just awful.
I just want a world with fiber
Yeah.
all over the place.
Well, I mean,
Just
the only reason they upgraded the stuff around here is because Google Fiber's coming to Charlotte, so they're shit scared. So, like, oh yeah, we're going to put you in a thing. Or like, you know what? That's fine by me. I just want better internet. And I'll give them credit. Like, outside of that cable issue, this internet is very, very reliable. I'll give them credit for that. And I get the speed that I ask for all the time. But the amount I pay for it, I'd fucking well better. It's so bad.
But no, for real though, fuck Time Warner.
Fuck Time Warner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just-
All right.
We'll have the
Just so
Fuck
people
Time
didn't get
Warner
the mistake
anthem
that we
available next
care.
week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just in case.
fuck Time Warner.
Yeah, just want to
regardless.
make sure that Time Warner knows.
Not giving him a break. Not giving him a break.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give you credit for doing what you said you would do in the contract. That's just that's the baseline of what I expect from you.
At this point, we'll be playing the ceremony march. Only we'll be singing about fuck Time Warner
Yes.
instead of fuck.
Fuck Time Warner. We can fit that in there, yeah.
Yeah. It'll make it work.
Also, a lot more things rhyme with Warner than Konami, by the way, as I discovered. It's like, I got
Yes,
salami,
yes. When
tsunami.
your first rhyme was salami, I realized you were running.
This
out
is
of
not
time.
going to go well. Yeah.
Large.
A long time ago when I did, of course, you know this, Jesse, because you did one yourself. With WoW Radio, we used to do a lot of parody songs. And we had issues with like rhyming stuff because a lot of the in-game stuff was really weird. So there's a couple of websites that are like rhyming dictionaries, which I use, like Rhyme Zone. So if I put in Konami, there is nothing. So you got to think, okay, what rhymes with Konami? Salami. Put salami in there, and then it's like, okay, it gives you 2-syllable, 3-syllable, 4-syllable, and it's like, well, apparently commie rhymes with salami, which I disagree. Swami, pastrami, tsunami,
Sure.
and then things just get weirder.
Swami
Yanomami apparently, which is like what?
What is that exactly?
I don't know what Yanomami is. Not a clue. In fact, I'm going to Google that right now because I would really like to know what Yanomami is. A group of approximately 35,000 indigenous people who live in some 200 to 250 villages in the Amazon rainforest on the border between Venezuela and Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
There's gonna be a lyric about how they couldn't even sell their new games to the Yanomami.
Well, I'm fairly sure they couldn't because they probably don't have electricity. So it's like that seems reasonable.
Yeah, look, yeah. But
even
to them,
those
it'd be like
guys are like-
magic. It'd be like magic,
Yeah.
and they'd be like, "What is this?" And they'd be like, "We don't want it." Even we know here it's shit in the jungle.
Indeed, in the jungle, the mighty jungle.
We've heard about you. You guys are
Konami
shit.
sucks tonight. Like,
But even the Yomami say, fuck Konami.
indeed.
Yes. It's part of a
Yeah.
tribal dance, a ritual. It's like,
Indeed.
hey, fuck Konami.
That's how you become a man.
Yeah, when you go on your fishing quest, you must repeat over and over and over again, "Fuck Konami."
Oh my god! All right, what else have we been playing this week? Who wants to go?
Overwatch. Look, they're shutting it down. They're shutting it down on the 10th for like a month, and so I'm trying to get as much of my sweet junk butt in as I can.
Indeed.
Well,
here we go. Obligatory Overwatch segment to piss off that one guy in the subreddit. Here we go.
At least there's news, though. At least now, like, nothing in the
news,
game has
yeah.
actually changed. But
Yes. Yeah, that's probably
news-wise,
that's worth it.
Jeff
That's worth
Kaplan,
talking about. Yeah. So Jesse, what did they announce for Overwatch?
Well, the biggest thing, I mean, Jeff Kaplan came out and made a video, and the video was just literally him in front of a wall,
Yes.
answering questions. He's like,
Yeah.
I've been to the Reddit, I've seen what fans have said. Here's some answers. And the first one and the best thing he said was, yeah, so once the game's released, we're gonna make new maps, we're gonna make new characters, all of it's free, which is super dope.
Which is
Like,
exactly what we were hoping would happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, like, I think that's the best thing they could have done. Like, if you're going to pay up front, from now on, everything that you get is free. And I guess the only concern people had, of course, it's Reddit. So immediately the concerns were, well, how many do we get? What's the frequency of us getting them? If we pay
We
for
don't
it, what's
know.
our incentive to make more? And it was like, oh my God, you'll never be happy.
Fucking cares? Yeah.
Never be happy.
God.
Well, I mean, it really is that as well, because a lot of the... I don't know, I mean, it's unfair to say, like, Reddit has this opinion, because obviously it's a lot of different people, but it does seem to me, like, with new multiplayer games specifically, if it's single player, you get a pass on literally whatever the fuck you want to do, apparently. But if it's multiplayer, it seems like no one can agree on what the business model should ever be, you know? Because as soon as they announced that it was going to be $40, people are like, well, why is it not free to play? Why is it not free to play? I wanted it to be free to play. And then there's a bunch of people that, for the previous whatever game it was that announced it would be free to play, so why is it free to play? That's going to be shitty now. It's going to be pay to win and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, what do you want exactly? Like, what business model would you be okay with?
I mean, the community is obviously split up into two factions, right? And depending on what game says what price model, the people who disagree with it flock to be like, no!
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like, oh, well, but TF2. I'm like, yeah, TF2's been out for 10 years, wasn't free originally, and has made more money than God in the, 10 years it's been out. So they can kind of do pretty much anything with it.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't they, tacitly admit years and years ago when they made it free that they're like, yeah, we just want people to use Steam, so we're using TF2 to get people to do that.
Totally.
That's absolutely why they did it, yeah.
What else? That's the only thing from the video that I heard about.
There
I
were
didn't
a couple
actually
of
watch the
things. There were a
video.
couple
What
of other
else
things.
was announced?
So they were talking a little bit about kill feed. So a lot of people have been complaining that the game doesn't have a kill feed. And for those who don't know what a kill feed is, it's like the thing that scrolls down on the side that says, someone killed this with this, you know. And they're saying, yeah, we don't actually have a real reason why it's not in the game right now. We don't have any design objections to it being there, so we're going to put it in. And apparently, they used to have it probably in the alpha, and then they kind of took it out for reworking. And I'm fine with that. There's no disadvantage, I think, to having a kill feed. In fact, I think it's really useful. Because if you see, 4 guys just went down at high noon on the other team, then you're like, push, go, 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 go. You know, that's useful information. And then they talked about this. They talked about the scoreboard, which is that's another controversial issue, which is like, well, we don't really know about the scoreboard yet because we've got the on fire thing to represent when people are doing well. We don't necessarily want, KD comparisons between the teams. And a lot of people are making the argument, it's like, oh, well, all you're really trying to do is dodge this word toxicity. You're denying people information because you think that people will be mean to each other.
Right.
That's not
really it.
That's not at all what I would think.
That's not the immediate assumption that I would make.
No, because this is a game where you have objectives and you're supposed to work as a team, and sometimes you play a character who isn't supposed to be killing people.
Yeah.
I would argue that not having the kill count up on screen would actually help people from not trying to quit or throw games. Because that's a mindset where if you see one team is way ahead than the other, the team that's losing is like, well, why bother trying?
It happens in
all
LoL.
your guys' fault.
I mean, LoL and Dota, it happens a lot. LoL probably more than Dota because LoL actually has a surrender button. And if you're losing that badly and the scoreboard clearly shows it, fuck this, or I'm going AFK. Dota's maybe less like that because I think a lot of people, especially considering they've watched a lot of Dota, realize that Dota has quite a lot of comeback potential. So they don't have a surrender button, so they can't bail out anyway. But you're still obviously going to get a lot of people complaining, oh, this guy doesn't have the right kind of stats. But simultaneously, I think, like, in this case, you don't... In a game like Dota, you dying not only hurts your team, but it really helps the enemy, because it gives them gold, it gives them experience and shit. You know, the concept of feeding is a thing in Dota games and LoL. You can't really feed in Overwatch.
No.
And, you know, as a result, like, if I'm especially concerned about it because I play a lot of Winston. And Winston, I can get kills with Winston, but ideally, with Winston, if I am tying up two guys at the back out of the fight for a good amount of time, not killing them, but, you know, keeping them out of the fight, I'm kind of doing my job. Because that means the main fight's now 5-on-4 in our favor. And I think that to me is
it's an objective
hard.
based game.
That's hard to represent on a scoreboard. Even with a generic kind of score feed, it's kind of hard to properly represent what I'm doing and my contribution to the team that way.
Yeah, there's so many things in the game, like the fact that, like, for example, if there was a 90% of the time, you're gonna have a team where objective A or point A or whatever the first half of the map, you're just gonna get screwed, and it's gonna look like you're just getting wrecked, especially if you're on defense. They're just gonna get crushed, and then point B is usually super heavily defensible.
Yes.
And so, like, giving anyone the excuse early on to be like, my team's shit and bug out is like not. It shouldn't be that way. Like, it's an objective-based game. You learn, and then you adapt, and you change as you play. So by the end of the time you're playing that one round, hopefully you have a cohesive team, and you're working together, and you're stopping the enemy or pushing on the enemy, whatever the case may be. But you're going to die a bunch. And to make it so people are going to chill out in the back and hide and try and get kills, and like, gotta look out for me. That doesn't work.
Because, like, at least all of the game modes that we have right now, again, are objective based, and anything that's going to distract you from what the actual objective is going to hurt your team. And having some sort of a board that's like, oh, so and so has just a few more kills than you can be like, oh, I want to get higher on the board than that guy, right? And you're suddenly going to be totally focused on killing the other team instead of pushing the goddamn cart.
Yeah, although simultaneously, it's been so long since I played TF2. How does TF2 do it? They actually do have a scoreboard, right?
I haven't played that in years either.
I haven't played it in so fucking long. Dodgy, you're probably the last person to play TF2, right?
Yeah,
Ever.
I've still played it pretty consistently.
Yeah, do you remember how the scoreboard works in that game?
Yeah, it has like... It has a bunch of stats along the top. But it puts you in order by everything sort of converges into a certain number of points overall. So like kills get you a certain number of points, pushing the cart gives you a certain number of points. So it's all the same number, but different things contribute more or less to your score. It's just
a big kind of generic score number.
Yeah.
Rather than kills. Yeah.
I mean,
rather
I don't
than it just being kills.
Yeah, I don't necessarily object to having that. I think, like, KD as a stat is something that should only be available personally, and it already is. You can see your KD when you hit tab, but you can only see your KD.
But I think if you're playing a character like Mei, who can sometimes be played super harassy, right? Like, you might never get points in anything. You might never be on the cart. You might never kill somebody. So you still wouldn't show up on the list. You're just trying to harass and confuse people and keep them away from what's going on. So I think even then you would wind up with people who don't show up on the board even though they contributed.
There's definitely an issue with that. And I think it's just... The arguments that I've seen in favor of a scoreboard are, well, I don't know how well I'm doing relative to the rest of the team. Which to me doesn't... I don't see how that's important. Like, why does that really matter? And other people have said, well, I don't know if I'm getting better. I'm like, well, isn't that what, like, the end of game career stats are for?
Yeah.
I'd rather people were focused on just playing the game, and then at the end they can see how things went, rather than in the middle of the game. And, you know, I just don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I
thus
think we're
concludes
all
our
in agreement
Overwatch.
on that. We've been in agreement on that for a while. It's just we'll see what they do when they bring it back, probably in January.
Yeah. As I said, the beta is ending for a month, so you'll have a month of no Overwatch discussion. And yes, we found the guy from Reddit in the chat. So I don't get why you're talking about this when your viewers can't play. We talk about games you can't play all the time. Like you do realize that, right? Like
I enjoy that.
We talk
Yeah.
about-
The
we
fact
talk
that
ab-
you can't play it makes it more fun for me.
I was gonna say, literally, isn't that the point of us going to PAX and shit to talk about games you don't get to play yet?
I can rub it in your face. I'm doing good. I feel
I don't
good
get
about
it, yeah.
myself.
Anyway, like the point is, the business model is good. Like I'm happy with what they said. I think they've made the right call there, and we'll see how they develop it and see what happens when it comes back. And then hopefully they let more people in so the people can stop fucking whining about it, because that's maybe the most annoying damn thing about it. Oh god. Okay, what else have you been playing this week, Dodge? You got to play something else that's not Overwatch.
I finally played a game called the Purring Quest.
That thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It looked so cute. And my friend Pluto gifted it to me. He was like, it's a game where you play a cat. It's perfect.
Perfect.
So it's perfect.
Can someone explain to me how the fuck iHas Cupquake got 589,000 views playing this game?
Because
It's because she's
got
dressed as a cat.
kitties.
Okay,
And
alright.
She's dressed as a cat in
Right,
it.
I see. She got really big really fast. Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
yeah.
When the hell did that happen?
You know what I could say, but it's mean, so I'm not gonna. My daddy always said, "Don't say nothing mean about people unless you're off camera." So
Dad's a smart man.
Anyway.
Turn off your camera, then say it.
The game has really jank ball controls. It does this thing where you have to hold down on a button in order to jump higher, and it drives me crazy. It like gave me instant hand cramps. So I swapped between the keyboard and the controller to try and like figure out what way to play this game was going to be less obnoxious, and both ways were really frustrating to me. I think the game is super short. It seems like there's only like 5 levels to it. I think it's really small, but I still was just like, all right, got halfway through the game, I'm good. I don't really care to see the end of this because the intro was kind of weird, but the game looks so cute. And you meet other kitties. You meet Henri, le chat noir. He's the first cat that you meet, and he's like all mysterious.
That means the black
shit.
cat.
It does.
I know some French.
Yeah. So
I had no idea what you said.
it was really cute, and it had a lot of potential, and I just feel like the controls fucked it for me. If the controls were better or easier, I would have played it all the way through, because again, it seems short, but it just like was so frustrating to play for me.
Yeah, I don't think that's a game I'm really going to be spending a lot of time trying to pursue.
You don't want to play a game about a kitty?
My wife is playing a game about cats right now on the iPad, which seems to literally be try and collect as many of these cats as possible, and then they
Is
leave
it that
you.
weird house game?
Yes.
I've never played that, but I've had so many people send me screenshots being like, "Why the fuck aren't you playing this game?" Like,
There
I don't
are some
know.
odd cats in that game. It's like you have to sort of build up a thing to attract various kinds of cats, and then they'll come visit you, and then they'll leave you fishies, and then you apparently trade the fishies for more stuff to attract more cats.
Yeah, so Octopimp actually this morning sent me a screenshot of a cat wearing a cowboy hat, and it says personality nihilist. I was like, you got a nihilist cat in your house. Amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely something involving that. I can't really criticize her for it because I've still been playing that stupid bullshit pay-to-win Star Wars game every night, so she can play whatever she wants.
I
She's
thought
allowed.
you would have dropped that by now.
Hey, I have. I have not. I'm still playing it.
Guilty
It's
pleasure.
It kind of is. The weird thing is that at this point, there's like the pay-to-win aspect has sort of died off because it's really hard to properly pay to win in that game now. At the start, it's really easy to pay to win because you get a bunch of like premium packs, you get a bunch of really good quality characters, and you just wreck people with them. And then it's sort of because of the way that the game does its character distribution, it gets really hard to pay to win after a certain point because you open these packs, and as I mentioned last week, you get either random characters or random shards of characters, which will eventually become characters if you collect enough shards. But it gets to the point where once you've collected a few characters, you get basically nothing. Like, you throw $20 at packs, and you get fuck all from it. And it's... In Hearthstone, at least, if you open, 20 packs, and you have all the cards, at least you can disenchant them. In this game, you can't do that. So, there's a character that I really want, who is like a Jedi, whose special ability is, gives... You can't... This is the thing. You get the... So I want this character, and his main ability is every Jedi in your squad gets a 25% chance to counterattack upon being hit. And I run a full Jedi squad. That sounds like it would be incredibly amazing. But the only way to get this character is to open him in a pack. As far as I'm aware right now anyway, at my level, there's no other way to legitimately acquire him. The thing is that randomly getting him in a pack, the chances of getting him are astronomical. And
Who is this hero?
He's Emo Kun or something like that. He's some...
Exarchon?
No, not Exarchon.
Kit Fisto.
No, it's not Kit Fisto. I actually have Kit Fisto.
Oh, okay.
He's shit. I call him
of course he is.
Shit Fisto, which really doesn't sound good. But
Man.
I can't remember his name, Emo Kun or something like that. Jed. He's so strange that I can't even remember his name. But the way that you acquire characters in this game is so fucking bonkers crazy that you lose the desire to even throw money at it because, I'm not going to get anything. If I throw $20 at packs, at least in Hearthstone, I know I'm going to get something I can use. Here, I don't even know if I'm going to get anything I can use. It's such a random spread of what you get. Sometimes you open 8 packs and you get 4 4-star characters from them. It's wow, great. And then sometimes you open them and you get, oh, here's 1 shard for this character. Oh, you need 80 shards to unlock him, by the way. I'm just you fucking what? It's insane.
Is it a character named I'm a Gundy?
Possibly. Yeah, might be.
Why is there a Jedi named I'm a Gundy?
I don't...
It's a description, not a name.
Yeah, it's strange. And the meta's kind of settled down now into a meta that's not really all that good. One of the things that you do every day is compete on the ladder to get high ranking in PvP. And the PvP is really just you fighting against an AI-controlled squad of another player. And everyone has figured out that the best way to keep your rank is to run the clock out. These PvP battles, for no apparent fucking reason at all, have a 5-minute timer on them. So what people have done is they've created these squads that are really heal-focused with really high health, and they just run the clock out. You can't kill them in the 5 minutes it takes. So almost all of the high-ranked players in that game are all using a kind of the same sort of squad. And the thing is, usually when a meta settles that way, someone will come up with a counter, and then the meta will change. And that's how the actual meta of a game works. But in this game, because it's so hard to get some of the characters that you would need to set up a real counter, you don't have anybody able to do that. So everyone just settles on the same squad, and sometimes they win and sometimes they don't. Some of the animations are way too long. Sometimes the game runs slower than it's supposed to. The game runs faster if you put it on auto attack. The animations are quicker. The problem with auto attack is you tell the guy, it's all right, you can target a character and say, go attack it. And then they randomly change who they decide to attack for no apparent reason. So you're shit, I almost killed this guy. And then one of their 5,000 healers is hey, I just gave them 5,000 HP back. I'm oh my fucking god, this is the worst.
TB, I don't know how to tell you this, but I think you're playing a bad game.
I think you're right.
I think you've sunk a lot of money into a game that's
yeah,
not very
and this
good.
is the problem. Now I don't want to stop because I've invested too much into it. It's so bad.
No.
I mean, I imagine that's a lot of how the iOS sort of pay to win games actually work, getting you invested so much that even though there are stuff that is so fucking shitty, you just fuck it, I don't care. We have to keep going. We have to keep going because it's called the sunk cost fallacy. It's, I think, why League of Legends keeps as many people as it does, because, once you've unlocked a bunch of characters there, you don't want to leave, especially if you spent money. It's evil. It's fucking evil. Oh god, such wasted time. Yeah, it. You know, I actually want it to be more pay to win than it is now, because now it's not pay to win enough. At the start, it was great. It's because I can win it. Now it's like I can't really pay to win because it's so fucking random that even if I throw hundreds of dollars at this, I might not even get what I want. So there's no point.
Like the beautiful whale you are.
Just a beautiful whale song.
Yeah.
I might just have to let it go at some point. It might happen.
No.
But tonight
this?
No, I can't because my IG-88 assassin droid gets rank 5 tonight. So
God damn it!
And thus, TB was lost forever.
Yeah, we lost. He's
it's
gone
the
now.
worst. It's the worst.
Too late for him.
It's been a really interesting experience because I've never got so invested in a shitty iOS game before, and it's so interesting to see, I think, what a lot of people must experience when they play a lot of these games and why people sink as much money into them as they do. It's really intriguing. At one point, I just want to make a video about all of the systems that game has to get money out of you.
You can fully acknowledge the psychology behind it.
Oh, yeah.
Yet you're letting it work on you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I fully invested in it, absolutely. But now I'm just like, I don't know. I should probably keep playing it, though, because, you know, what happens? I mean, I might open a pack and get something really cool tomorrow. I don't know. I have no idea. I still need to unlock Darth Sidious. I haven't got him yet. Feel like, would you like it if it wasn't Star Wars? Fuck no. It's actually a very similar game by the same developer. They made a Dragon Age game a while ago called Dragon Age Heroes. It's pretty much the same game, but with Dragon Age. And I didn't like that, but I like this because it's Star Wars. There's a Star Trek game coming out called Star Trek Timelines, which sounds quite similar, where you can recruit characters from all the different parallel timelines of Star Trek.
Oh, God damn it.
There's some
Record
really...
keeper.
You can get, like...
I was doing the same thing with Final Fantasy Record Keeper.
Yes, it's basically Record Keeper, definitely. You can even recruit, like, holodeck versions of them, like playing the... if you remember, there's some Voyager episodes where they're in this, like, 1930s black and white sci-fi show where, Queen Arachnia, that was her name, where she was, Captain Janeway was playing Queen Arachnia. You can recruit Queen Arachnia for your team, and she has, like, a unique ability and all sorts of shit like that. I'm like, oh, fuck. Once this comes out, I am fucked. It's got, like, I am fucked.
I just have an entire team of Datas.
Yeah, like, there's probably 5 different... Yeah, Sherlock Data's in it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a pure Star Trek fan service game. I'm like, I'm fucked once this game comes out.
What about Dixon Hill, Captain Picard's alter ego?
I think he's in too, actually. Yeah, they've put in a lot...
Look, those are my favorite episodes. I love Dixon Hill episodes.
I'm pretty sure they have one variant of Janeway, which is, like, coffee-starved Janeway. And she has an ability based on not having a lot of coffee.
So it's like Riker without beard, Riker with beard.
Oh my god!
I hope so.
Yes.
I hope so.
Riker without beard is really, really shitty.
Riker with stubble.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Come on, Dodger. I need to know which was more attractive: Riker with beard, Riker without beard. Go.
Oh, with beard. I'm sorry,
beard.
Dodger.
With beard.
oh god.
also,
no, it's okay. It's okay to admit to that. It's Riker. Riker is incredibly handsome. We should all aspire to be Riker.
Shout out to Q for being the first person to call him out on that beard, and maybe the best episode of Star Trek ever.
Yep, true. Very true.
I liked you better without the beard. Bam, nailed it.
Yep. Riker. We should all aspire to be Riker.
That's my favorite shirt that I own. It's a picture of Riker and 2 women. It says what happens on the holodeck stays on the holodeck.
Nice. Oh, God.
Yep, that sounds right.
It's like, is there anyone Riker did not bang? Nobody knows.
Everyone.
He was the new Kirk.
Yeah, very much so. Picard was far too sensible.
And then we missed the storyline because the series ended with Troy going out with Worf. And then the movies just ignored that storyline.
That's right.
You're like, wait, what happened?
Well, I mean, what happened was that in DS9, Worf ends up going out with Dax. So,
yeah.
Oh, that's right.
They broke up because Worf went to Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, he went to DS9.
That's right.
Duh.
Yeah.
And then he banged the alien who had a worm inside her. That's
Dax,
right. Yeah. It wasn't the only thing she had inside her.
Isn't Star Trek great?
Yes. I'm very excited for the new series.
Apparently, for those of you who are going to see Star Wars next week, the new Star Trek trailer is in front of that.
I don't want to see the Star Trek trailer.
Are you gonna go see Star Wars? Do you have your tickets already?
Girl, I got my
do.
tickets. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh! I'll see if I can get a ticket at the same place you're
here's
going.
Here's the thing. Because I'm such a nice guy, and I know you guys, and I know you're the worst at planning things, I bought 3 tickets.
Can I claim one?
You definitely can.
Yes.
There you go.
Thank you.
I know all of you. You're bad people. I know that you're lazy, so I helped you out in advance.
Cool. Sick.
I played a video game.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
I played Dragon Quest Heroes, finally. Got around to it.
Oh,
'Cause
wow,
it
is it?
came out on Steam. And I bought it for PS4 when it came out, and then got really salty about the fact that the whole streaming shit that they had, and then just never bothered to fucking play it. But then it came out on Steam, I should try it out on Steam, because people will probably want a video. As usual, Tecmo Koei with their fucking awful ports. At least it runs at 60 frames, but if you want to try and play that with keyboard and mouse, you are shit out of luck. I don't know what it is about Japanese publishers bringing games on Steam, but they always fuck up those controls. But I eventually plugged in a controller and got it to work, and that's not bad, that game. That's actually, that's pretty fun. It's very Warriors. Like, if you didn't like Hyrule Warriors or Dynasty Warriors, you're probably not liking this either, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's very colorful. It's really cool to see all of the old Dragon Quest monsters. Like
it's a little more complicated, though. Like, they added, yeah.
You can switch between 4 characters on the fly, which is kind of...
Sometimes you need to. Like, sometimes...
So far, I haven't had the need to do that. Maybe I've only played for a couple of hours. Maybe at some point you do need to do that. Like, I think you can just play pretty much any character and win right now. But it's a fun little hack and slash, I think. And it does look pretty good. I'm a bit disappointed about the music. People are like, oh, well, it's classic Dragon Quest music. The thing is that I got into Dragon Quest with Dragon Quest 8 on PS2, where they had the full symphonic soundtrack. And it was... so good, like amazing music. But apparently every other Dragon Quest has kind of had shitty music. But people are used to that, and like the old school Dragon Quest fans are like, yeah, that's the way it should be. I'm like, no.
If the music was good, I would riot.
Indeed.
We need more wailing, I assume, Chinese guitars. We need more wailing Chinese guitars in any game. Yeah.
More shamisen?
Yeah, just wail. Also, we need more Jessica. We need Jessica more frequently in that game.
Jessica is in Heroes. I know she's a playable character in Heroes.
Everybody has a crush on Jessica.
Not enough. More Jessica.
She was a great character in 8. The interesting thing is that I originally turned off the English voice acting because the little healer slime called Helix, who is in the tutorial, is the most annoying beast ever created. I assume they got an 8-year-old girl to do the voice acting for him. And it's a bunch of slime puns, and it's terrible.
Good. Yes.
Good? You mean good? It's all that. Like, anything they can associate with slime or goo or sludge or anything, it's like, I want to kill you. I want to slaughter you. But after you get
I
out...
need more examples. Another one.
Oh, God. Hang on. Let me see if I can bring up the tutorial.
More.
Dragon Quest Heroes tutorial. Blah, blah,
Why do
blah,
you do
blah.
this to us?
Because there's a load of this. Why does this person actually has Spanish voice acting? That's Spanish subtitles. That's no fucking use. God damn it.
Chat, we're talking about Jessica from Dragon Quest 8. Jessica Albert.
This is interesting. I wonder if this has anything to do with the streaming rules, because almost all of the Dragon Quest Heroes videos that are on YouTube are all either from Brazil or Spain. I wonder if that actually has anything to do with the way that they do the claims or whatever. I know that because I was a little scared about even putting a video up of this game, because for those who don't know, Square Enix tried to implement even in game, there's like a thing that says, oh, you can't stream this game. Like, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, which is... I mean, they really don't have the right to tell you to do that, especially when you're reviewing or critiquing the game. But they're Japanese, so they're Japanese. You know, and you've seen how Nintendo's acted, you've seen how Capcom's acted in the past, you've seen how Konami has acted. I finally got it up here. So, have a goo look at the action list is definitely one of them. Boo, yes. Let's see what else we've got here. Eep, slurp, time to give the actions you just looked at in the menu a goo. It's mostly just goo. Great, that was perfect. Gooey. Ooze the attacks I told you about. You can goo
Who's
it.
the attacks? I love it.
I want to kill this character. But as soon as you're out of the tutorial, all the other voice acting is fucking great, because Dragon Quest, when they've done voice acting, they always use colloquial English accents and slang.
Right.
So everyone sounds really fucking great, with the exception of that one character who I want to fucking murder. So I put the English back on as soon as I got to the little town area where, because the armorer has always had this, all right, I'll sell you some armor, all right, yeah, kind of, and what's his name? Yan, what the fuck is the name?
Yeah, the guy from Dragon Quest 8,
Dragon Quest
the
8,
big dude?
Yeah, began with Yan.
Oh, what the hell is his name?
With the yellow spiky hat?
Yes.
Yeah, yellow hat.
Yeah.
Damn. Why can't I remember his name?
He got his own game.
Shit. What was his name?
I'm literally looking this up now, too. And
I'm looking it up now, and I feel like an idiot for not knowing. Yangus. Yes.
Yangus.
Yeah. Yangus with a Cockney accent. Jessica with the awesome accent. Angelo had an awesome accent. Like, they all kind of... And there's a lot of that in this game as well. Everyone has the really cool sort of English accent. With the exception of that one fucking slime that I want to murder.
So if it was English accented slime puns, it would have been okay?
Yes, possibly. The delivery's just not there. You've got to commit to the puns. They don't commit.
You're so right. Yes.
Gotta commit.
I get it.
You gotta commit. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I understand your problem with this now.
Yeah.
She didn't commit
She didn't commit.
Didn't commit.
That 8-year-old did not fully commit to the puns.
Got it.
That's my problem. But, I mean, so far it's alright.
I'll never work in this industry again, 8-year-old.
It's okay. Like, it's a pretty kind of crappy port. It's basically you're getting the PS4 experience on the PC with no benefits. And apparently some people are having problems running it on systems that really should run it a lot better than it does. I'm not having that problem. It's mostly just a kind of hack and slash with some RPG elements. But it's colorful and fun, and you get to summon slimes to aid you and shit, which is kind of neat. So I'll play some more of it. I'm not hating it. It's alright. I don't play a lot of Warriors games, though. Jesse, you played Hyrule Warriors, didn't you?
Yes, I actually loved Hyrule
You love that?
Warriors.
It was fun.
Yeah, that was a ton of
acknowledge
fun.
it's not a great game. I had a lot of fun with it.
Here's the thing. The Warriors games are never great. They
Right.
have
Yes.
No.
They have never been great.
No.
They've never tried to be great.
Yeah, in a weird way, they're thoroughly entertaining, and I can't explain why I love them to death. I buy every single one and enjoy the hell out of them, and then I'm like, all right, well, I mean, if you ever take the time to find me on Xbox or PlayStation, 90% of my achievements are associated with Warriors games. Like, I love them, and I think because it's just real. You just shut your brain off and murder, and I need that sometimes. You're just like, you know what? I ain't even gonna think. Let's just kill some people. Like, it's great. It's great. I love those games. I've
always been the guy that said, in principle, I like what Dynasty Warriors has to offer. It's just, in practice, I don't think it offers enough of that. There was a game called 99 Nights that came out on the 360. To me, that game encompassed what Warriors should have been. Like, it had a much, much larger moveset. It had much better character progression. And you could kill, like, thousands of dudes at once. Like, the perspective was sort of pseudo top-down. And there were moves where you could literally destroy 1,000 people. There were, like, 5,000 hit combos and shit like that. That was cool. I like that a lot. But Warriors doesn't really seem to have enough of that for me.
I think it might have been Dynasty Warriors 3. There was one that was like, I would consider it like the perfect Dynasty Warriors game where it had a ridiculous number of characters. Every single one of those characters had a storyline. All those storylines like had their own, like, you had so many things to do, and it was one of those games that it was just almost impossible to complete because there was so much, and every time you went to a new story, it unlocked more characters. And I think that was 3, but ever since then they've cut it down slowly to where it's like, no, we want to have less characters and more story, and like, or bigger maps. And I remember.
Wasn't 3 like a huge jump from 2 as well? Because 2 was like super small, and then 3
Dynasty
was
Warriors
just
1
huge.
was like a fighting game. Dynasty Warriors 1 wasn't even the same style. Dynasty Warriors 2 was literally the first game I ever bought for PlayStation 2. When I got my PlayStation 2, there were no other games that came at launch that I wanted. And I was like, I guess I'll get this so I have something to play. And that shit, that's all I played for, like, I don't even know, until the next PlayStation game came out. I was like, whatever. So I played that nonstop.
Was it Dynasty Warriors 3 that had the create a character first introduced? Because I loved that.
That or 4. Yeah.
Whichever one had like the create a character put in, I thought that was awesome. And then they took it out of the next one, which was probably 5.
And then they had like
maybe 6.
Like it was either 3 or 4 was like the big one where everything you did changed the game. Like even getting new characters changed the intro, and like it was crazy. Like so much about that game was like perfect, and you were constantly unlocking characters, and each character had their own weapons and movesets and like all these crazy things. And it was like there might have been like 60, 70 characters in that damn game. It was crazy. It was so insane. And then they were like, well, we went too crazy. No one liked that. I was like, I love that. That was so great. There was so much stuff to do. And yeah, ever since then, like, especially the last one, it was fun, but 90% of the characters you unlocked and could only play in like not the story mode. You could only play them and just like, I can run around with these guys, but I want to like see their story because most of the characters have a badass story. Hashtag Red Cliff.
To me, in games like that, it seems like it's better to have a smaller cast of characters, but flesh them all out more in terms of their moveset and their progression, rather than having, like, I don't really want 100 characters if I'm probably only going to play about 5 of them, especially if then the 5 that I want to play don't have enough to them. You know, the thing is, I think it's probably because I love playing spectacle fighters, and I love, you know, games like Bayonetta and Devil May Cry and everything like that. And then I see the movesets of those games, and then I'm like, oh, so I got like 4 combos maybe in these Warriors games, and I just get bored because there's like, I don't feel satisfied with murdering people if I can't pull off some amazing fucking super satisfying combo because the moveset is so limited.
Well, they definitely changed that for the most recent one. I think maybe the one before that where they added, not only do you have your like XXXX and your XY and XXY and like all those different ones, or whatever the different buttons are on your thing. But then they also added where you can pull a trigger, and now you're like in Super EX mode, and then you can.
That's
use,
in
like,
Heroes as well.
Yeah, and you can run around and go freaking nuts, and like crazy stuff happens. Plus, then you have your ultimate. Plus, then you have your EX mode. Plus, your ultimate, which is just like the world explodes. And so they're definitely. I think that's the path they're on because, like 3 and 4 had a ridiculous number of characters, and now they hit 8, and it's maybe I think like 15 total characters that you can like. Yeah, I think it might be less than that. Where it's like the main storyline, you cycle between characters, and that's like part of the story. And because there's 3 factions and now technically 4, they like cycle you through the characters, but you're only ever playing, I don't know, maybe 12, 13, 14 characters the entire time now. Well, before it was a ridiculous number. Like you played everybody. Like the son of a guy is now a character you're playing. And you're like, all right, I don't know who the fuck this is, but he looks cool. Yeah, now they've gotten rid of all that.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Someone in the chat did make a great point that with a larger cast, you do get more unique weapons. And like that's the one thing I have liked about Dynasty Warriors. They turn almost everything into a weapon. There's characters who are, there was a character who's like one of her moves. She's just a dancer, I think. And one of her moves is she just summons a swing out of nowhere and just murders 100 people by swinging into them and all sorts of cool stuff like that. I'm getting a bit of vibe from Dragon Quest Heroes with that. Particularly, you unlock very early on the king, and they call him the Royal Rumbler, because of course they fucking do, it's Dragon Quest. And he has this giant, I wouldn't even just call it a bow staff, it's kind of like a staff with a giant fucking weight on the end of it. And he just kind of swings around on it and does the sort of Neo thing and kicks 100 people like the Agent Smith fight scene. I'm like, that's the kind of stuff that's really satisfying to play. And then there's a character who just has a boomerang, I'm like, oh. Okay. It's like, like, really? That, okay. I'll go back to the staff guy.
Yeah.
It's all right, though. I'm getting on with it.
Yeah. I love the franchise and just the Warriors games in general. They're always silly, and they never take themselves too seriously. And even Hyrule Warriors, like, it's fun, but it never was like, oh, shit, this is super serious. Like, even when you're running around, and suddenly, like, you have just a fairy queen basically, like, fondling herself as she, like, talks. It's so weird. It's so weird and silly. And you're just like, what is happening right now, Link? What is going on? When the bad guy is just, ridiculously overly sexualized. And then yeah. And then the fact that they give that a point, like, they make that, like, well, here's why. And you're like, what is happening? Why is this game so silly? Yeah, I love that. No spoils, but there's a reason. It's crazy.
The Warriors games are all very, very silly. Definitely. Yeah. I would play the shit out of a Star Wars Warriors game, I think.
Surprised they have
with
already.
a lightsaber?
Yeah. I mean, the closest you
Lu
get
Bu's
to
in it.
that...
For some reason, Lu Bu just shows up like, whoa.
Lu Bu's still
will
there.
you force choke Lu Bu? They're like, yes, I will, actually.
You can't do it.
You can't do it.
Lu Bu's neck breaks your hands. And your hands break.
I definitely play a very stupid crossover game. I know they do Warriors Orochi, which is like a crossover between Samurai Warriors and Dynasty. I just like to see it go full on with that. It's kind of what I hoped that stupid anime Victory Stars whatever would be, and it ended up not being that at all. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, that was so sad.
I'd have loved that. It's like, hey, let's just have this giant, crazy fucking crossover game where you beat up a bunch of dudes as your favorite characers. Like, that sounds good.
Bad. It turned out so bad.
It's so awful. It's just dreadful. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
They even let you play.
Yeah, I know.
They let you play so many cool characters,
I know.
and I was like, I can't fucking wait. And then it was trash.
And then they only give you like 5 from the start as well, just to make it even worse. Like, unlock all this shit. No! Fuck you! I don't like it. No. Not okay with that. Alright, shall we take a break? Sounds like a good idea. When we come back, I think we're going to go Game Awards for the most part, unless we have any other games that we've been playing this week.
I do, but we can go into Game Awards.
That's fine. We can.
And also,
we'll
I
wrap
feel
up
like
after the
you
break.
and I guess all of us except for Jesse have talked about games we played.
Probably, yes.
Literally all I played this week was more Witcher stuff, and no one. I've already expressed my love for that game of the year. That's all I care about. So yeah.
Fair enough. Well, we'll go to the break. When we come back, we'll figure something out. Probably Game Awards, most likely. You're watching the Co-Optional Podcast. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-Optional Podcast. Yeah.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, so you guys remember when I tried to give away a copy of Sword Coast Legends and I completely failed?
Yes, I do remember that.
I found a solution, hopefully.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so how about this time? Bam! Right on there or so?
There you go. First
There you
person to
go.
get that one in.
There you go. This is for Steam. If you want a free copy of Sword Coast Legends, go ahead and put this code in. Yay!
Best be
courtesy of
quick.
Wizards of the
Best be
Coast.
quick. If you're watching the VOD, there is no way you're
Gone.
getting this. It's already
Yeah,
gone.
it's gone.
It's already gone. No doubt about that.
Although you could try, maybe no one did it. You should all
Yeah,
go
maybe
try.
no one cared. Maybe no one cared.
Maybe no one cared. Maybe you should try
It is possible.
and visit their website. I'm trying to help you, bro. And visit their website to find out more details.
Sounds like a good idea.
You want
By
to
the
see
way,
a
I
really
am not-
creepy-looking meal?
What?
What?
Doesn't this look like I'm eating something really creepy?
No, it looks like you're eating Jello,
Yeah, it does mostly just look like Jello, really.
but it's borscht. It's borscht without actual borscht. It's just all it is beets.
What? It's beets, carrots, onions, potatoes, and
Did you
spices.
heat it up, or are you eating it cold?
Of course I heated it up. I don't like cold borscht. I don't like cold soup at all. But
I've just seen you.
hell's the
Every
point
once
of
in a while,
cold
I'll see you eat cold things, and I'm like, why are you eating that? And you're like, because it's
cold
good.
pizza is the best form of pizza, to be fair.
No,
Well, yeah.
no, sorry. Get a toaster oven and then tell me that cold pizza is good compared to toaster
Yeah,
oven
F you,
pizza.
Toasterless.
Toaster oven pizza often tastes better than it did when it first fucking came out of the oven. It's great. Love it.
Nope. I want
Yep.
it cold.
That's
I
what I
want all
miss
those
about
flavors
your-
to have mingled for an entire night.
Fuck
And then I
coagulated
eat
cheese
it.
in particular. Ugh.
Oh, I don't get cheese on my pizza, so there's that.
What?
So basically, you
How's
have
that a pizza then if it's got no cheese on it?
What do you mean?
she has sauce bread. She has sauce. She has crazy bread. Dodger eats crazy bread with veggies on
I
it.
hate when people are like, if you don't have cheese on it, it's not pizza. Fuck yourself. Of
So
course
you basically have
it's still
bruschetta
pizza.
then. By the sounds
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, you might as well just eat that. No, but that has cheese on it too.
But yeah, I guess it does.
Basically,
I don't know what you eat.
basically
I don't know what
Dodger
you
is
eat, but it's an
gross.
abomination.
All bitches.
Yeah, you should all be eating tuna
Only
pizza
gets
like
it on
me.
gluten-free bread too. It's gross.
I'm lactose intolerant. Do you want me to fart all over you? Because I will if I eat cheese.
I'd rather you eat cheese and fart honestly than be the lie that you're living.
Oh my god! All right, okay. Let's move swiftly on. Any other games that people have been playing this week that they would love to talk about?
No, I downloaded
Apparently not.
2 games that I really want to play. I downloaded a game called Tempest. I want to check it out, but I haven't had a chance yet. It's like a pirate game,
Okay.
like a online pirate game, which I'm totally down with. And then
Right.
Blue Estate, which is like an on-rail shooter.
Oh, Blue Estate is hilarious. Yeah.
Everyone this week was like, you need to play that for Fan Friday, so I downloaded that.
Yeah, you do.
But yeah, I've only played stuff for the channel this week, so I unfortunately have nothing fun to talk about.
Yeah, I started on Helldivers, but I've come rapidly to the conclusion that playing Helldivers solo is like playing Magicka solo, as in boring as fuck, and I should play with other people. It's just not even worth it.
Yeah.
I finally played the beginning of Chroma Squad, which I know you've played before.
Yes,
TB.
good game.
That game's fun.
Very fun. Yep. Great soundtrack on that game as well, and some really, really cool little RPG aspects to it.
Yeah.
Also, nothing better than building your costumes out of fucking cardboard and getting stats for it.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a really cool little conceit for a game, actually. I enjoy Chroma Squad a great deal. It's definitely worth a play if you get a chance to. All right, well, in that case, if we haven't played anything else, we should probably move on to our main topic of the day, which is the Game Awards.
Oh, they happened!
They did.
They certainly did.
Those are things that happened, yes. The second annual Game Awards, brought to you by Jeff Keighley. And many interesting things happened at the Game Awards, including, of course, the reason as to why we opened up in song at the start of this show. Fuck Konami. For those who do not know, Hideo Kojima could not be at the Game Awards to accept one of the awards that Metal Gear Solid won because of legal action from Konami. Konami basically said that you could not attend. Literally, they got lawyers to tell him, don't go.
Don't accept your award.
Yeah, so they got called out on that in a big way, and they got booed by the entire audience.
I'm so glad that they got called out on it, too.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
Jeff Keighley needed some cool guy points, and that worked in his favor.
And that's what I
It
said at the
worked,
beginning,
man.
like,
It worked.
Like, you can't... Like, you can talk as much shit as you want about him being the Pope of Doritos and Mountain Dew, but he still won a lot of cred just by speaking truth, so I can't hate on him. I can't hate... A Dorito Pope would have hid that shit. I feel like this guy has dropped his cloth of Dorito-ness.
That was also in 2012, and people should probably get over it at this point. I mean,
Yeah, unfortunately for him, he was like the first salvo in the, like, we are going to make sure everything's on the up and up, like, wars. And, like,
I don't think he was. Like, I think it was just, I mean, really, I think the first person involved in that was probably Jeff Gersman with the Kane and Lynch thing.
Yeah.
I think the Doritos Pope thing got around more because it's funnier and it's more mimetic, and as a result, people remember that more than the legitimate horrible conflict of interest that happened with GameSpot and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, you know, back then, obviously, it was a really bad example of just like how shitty the kind of games marketing crossover with real products had got, and it was such a joke. I mean, and it's still such a joke, like the whole Doritos and Mountain Dew thing when it comes to video games. The fact that actually happened just
still happens.
Yeah, it still does. Yeah, absolutely. Even though it is a walking joke.
Delicious Rockstar Mad Max Game Edition drink.
Oh my god!
Wow.
What is it with fucking energy drinks in video games? Because, like, I'm gonna be honest, video games do not take a lot of fucking work. You do not need energy drinks for that.
Gotta stay up all night, power through, bro.
Gotta stay up all night, bro.
Gotta stay up all night,
I can't
bro.
go to bed until I'm level 60,
Gotta grind
bro.
out, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Gotta grind out. Gotta drink my Mad Max Mountain Dew or
drink
whatever the fuck
verification
this is,
can
fuck,
to continue. No. It's actually, there was a Rockstar Energy thing with Mad Max. It was a little optional piece of DLC you could get that actually had the Rockstar logo on it. Thankfully, that was not a default part of the game, so I wasn't too worried about that, but Jesus. That was pretty ridiculous. Speaking of sponsorship, does anyone have any idea what fucking Go 90 is? Because I don't. After watching that entire fucking show.
Yeah.
Dodger and I are aware.
I mean, do you actually care, or...
What is Go 90, and why were they trying to sell it to me every 5 minutes?
Apparently they got some big investors if they're trying to drive that
Go
hard to
90 is
advertise
Verizon.
themselves.
It's basically Verizon.
Yeah.
It's Verizon's video app.
It's a new video on-demand app, free app for your phones where you can instantly watch your YouTubes and your... I don't know.
Well, I mean, I hope it's not just to watch YouTube, because I can already fucking do that.
But it's like other shit, too.
Go 90's, like, spin is... There's a lot of, like, content on there. And the way, like, you can basically, like, cut clips out of the content and, like, send it to friends and then, like, mix
Why
your
would
own...
I want to do that?
Like, who knows? Who knows? But Dodger and I have a show on there, so that's all that matters.
Oh, okay.
We do have a show on there.
So you got paid. Okay, good to know. Am I the only person that didn't get paid by Go90? Am I missing something?
I didn't.
Okay, good to
Directly.
know.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yes.
Oh.
Go 90 if you're watching.
Also, how much do you really fucking love Star Wars Battlefront? Oh, Jesus.
Oh my god.
Oh,
I
God.
loved the diplomatic way people responded to those questions. Like
Cliffy B
Oh my-
dodged it
Cliffy
so
B was
well.
amazing. The
Yes.
art's fantastic.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, it's amazing graphics. Like, no, I know for a fact, Cliffy B, you would not tell me that this is a good shooter, because you know it isn't. You know it's
yeah.
not. You make good shooters, and this is
Who
not
was that
one of them.
dude? It was one of the singers or something. He's like, he was like, is this game awesome? And he's just like, yeah. Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it was amazing. There was a guy off screen with a taser, like, tell us it's amazing.
Yeah.
That was really weird. Also, I refuse to believe that iJustine was actually going to cry as a result of getting a plastic Disney Infinity toy. That seems unlikely.
I don't know. It seemed real.
As if he wasn't just standing off to the side holding it in eyesight, just
Waiting
for his cue to hand it over.
It's like, you got the first one of these ever. Like, okay.
I understand, and this is really to Jeff. I understand that in order to get the show done, you had to do some things you were uncomfortable with. I get it. I get that's how it works. In order to make the show happen, you had to do things. You had to, cross a few lines that God bless you, man. You did things that I would never have done. But the Justine thing, I was like, I don't know why you're there, dear. I don't know what role you play in the gaming industry. I don't know what you do right now. But
She played Portal once.
There's
Very,
a
very
million
badly.
people
She did. I watched
who
that.
have more gamer cred than she does, who could sit there with a microphone.
She's okay with a presenter. Like, I mean, she's a decent presenter. I don't have any problems with her as a presenter, really. I mean, the connection to the games industry is definitely questionable.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
unfortunately,
saying.
everyone that watches doesn't care about how good of a presenter she is.
Yeah.
People want to know, is she a gamer or not?
And the thing is, like, it's such a silly argument because, like, this show is very commercial. It's always been very commercial, and I don't think, like, going into it saying, yeah, we need to make sure the gamer cred of the show is on the up and up for a show that is that commercial really makes any sense, because they're going to compromise in a big way. And they did this time as well. In ways, actually, that I was not so happy with. Like, they cut the length of the show down, like, by an hour.
It didn't feel like it.
No, it didn't. It's like, you cut the length of the show down by an hour, and yet, like, you had probably just as many music acts and wasting of time.
And a complete fizzle out of a music act to end.
Can we stop putting Deadmau5 on at the end of shows? It's not the right style of music for that.
Can we
it's
just
not
stop putting Deadmau5 in shows?
I don't. I'm not.
He streams though, bro. He's part of the.
Yeah, he tried to stream Dota for about 10 minutes, then rage quit. It was great. He had no idea what he was doing. But
Right.
I have no problem with Deadmau5 as an artist. That's cool. I'm not really big into his music, but I'm a metalhead. Why the fuck would I be? The problem is his music is very, very slow-paced. It's often very lengthy. It's not good send-off music. Like they did at the end of TI5, the International 5, super hype, EG1, everyone's fucking hyped, and now Deadmau5, and then the crowd just dies because it's just like, all right, there's going to be a 6-minute build-up here. Yep, still going. Just
Wait
gonna
for that beat to drop. Here it
yeah,
comes.
the beat will never drop because it's Deadmau5. Deadmau5 doesn't drop the beat. Deadmau5 is not fucking dubstep, and anyone that believes Deadmau5 is dubstep is a fucking idiot. He's so anticlimactic. Like I said on Twitter, he's not a finale send off to a show. He's the funeral dirge that watches it die. That's what his music is, and it's just not in any way the right choice for the end of a show.
I think, I think
Didn't
the
Imagine
show
Dragons
itself-
close last year, and it was really good, if I recall correctly?
I want to say yes.
Yeah, I think they did.
But you have to understand, it's an award show, and all awards show are cringy as fuck. Like there is no award show where you're gonna walk away from and be like, that was a classy affair. They're all super.
Even the Oscars is bad, and they've been
they're
at
all
that for
super sellout-y
ages.
and super
Yeah.
like pat ourselves in the backy, and there's a very very few times where it felt like it was real honest. Oh god, my brain just died. Oh god,
I mean, the fucking army bit was pretty fucking honest.
Oh my, who Right, Greg Miller. Sorry, I had
Greg
a
Miller.
brain fart.
Yeah.
Greg
Greg
Miller
Miller's
had, like,
speech, highlight of the
an
evening.
honest moment. Yeah, like that
Yeah.
was a
So
legit, real
genuine.
moment.
Loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but it's an award show, and so 99% of the time you're not going to have those moments, and it's going to be a lot of like, hey, cool, thanks, here's another sellout moment, or here's some videos that we want to show you, and especially one where in order to get it on, again, you know, going back to Jeff, like in order to make this happen, you have to like, yeah, all right, we'll promote your shit and do this and this and this. I get that, and it's an award show, so you can't expect anything. I think the key that you should expect is like the games that they show as the winners of different things to actually be like good games. And a few of the winners, people are just like, what the fuck, why'd you win?
There was definitely a bit of Undertale got robbed there, I think. Like I said this on Twitter and I was kind of deadly serious about it. The problem really is that the way that they designed the categories. For instance, best independent game, yeah? So indie game.
Yeah.
The sheer, like, running the gamut between Undertale, which was developed by one guy, and also Her Story, which was developed by a very, very small team and a very low budget, and then Ori and the Blind Forest and Rocket League. Those games might as well not be indie. I mean, for one thing, Ori and the Blind Forest was acquired by Microsoft Game Studios, had a publisher, therefore was not an indie game. It was published by Microsoft. It's not an indie game. It shouldn't have even been in there. You know? And Rocket League, the amount of budget behind Rocket League compared to the amount of budget behind Her Story and Undertale, it seems like they shouldn't have even been in the same category. Indie is not a category. Indie is a business model. It's a fact of development. It's not a category that things should be in.
A lot of people just associate indie game with downloadable game.
Yes.
Like if it's on a marketplace, if it's on Steam, or you can only get it through downloading it, well, that's an indie game, and that's certainly not the case.
Well,
Yeah, and the thing is, you can download everything now, so that's
Yeah.
There used to be a case of where you could do best like Xbox Live Arcade game. That used to be a thing, but now pretty much everything's digital anyway. So it's, you know, what category would you even use for this? Like best independent game is a shitty category.
And it's interesting that when you look at best indie game, it's unfortunate that all the games they listed, Axiom Verge, Her Story, Ori and the Blind Forest, Rocket League, Undertale, are all phenomenal games for phenomenally different
Reasons, exactly.
Like
That's
Yeah.
the thing.
comparing them to each other is impossible. Like, it's an impossible... Like, if you were to compare certain aspects of Ori and the Blind Forest to Rocket League, it would blow it away. Like, it's... I don't know. I would love to sit down with, like, I know a few of the people, I'm sure we all do, who were the panelists who judged this stuff. I'd love to know the reasoning, because in my mind, I feel like Rocket League won a lot because Rocket League was popular on, like, it was just it was like a game
It's a popular game.
played.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a big Twitch game. It was a huge, and it was a game that had a lot of hype behind it because so many people played it, and it was so wacky and so fun. I still don't know that makes it a better game than some of the other ones up there. Like, I don't know. I mean, I would, even though I'm not a huge fan of Undertale, I feel like its like influence in the indie world, like, puts it ahead of Rocket League. Like,
I think Undertale is going to actually have a cultural impact or a development impact on future games, mate.
right?
You know?
Like, there's so much more to it, and I love Her Story, and I think Her Story is like a phenomenally cool concept. Is it a well put together game? Not necessarily. It's not really a game. You're just sort of, it's an experience, right? Like, Ori and the Blind Forest is moving as shit. It's beautiful. Like, there's so many things. I don't know, but I feel like,
But it's also an indie game. It's published by Microsoft. It's not an indie game.
I feel like in that category, Undertale is probably the best one there. But you know, Rocket League walked away with a lot of awards that I was like, I don't know that I'd ever just award Rocket League. Like, I don't know. Whatever. I have a lot of issues with how much Rocket League won. Not a
Same.
fan of that.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like Rocket League. I've been very clear about it because, and it's obvious why, because I don't like football. Like, I think I don't like playing football in real life, and I certainly don't like playing it on a computer. Playing it with a car doesn't make football any more interesting to me. It's still hitting a fucking ball into a goal. I've never cared about that. Rocket League didn't make that any more interesting to me. So I personally despise it. But I think it just, the whole thing makes it clear that the award shows kind of have two problems. One, the categories are very odd. and they're not well defined. And secondly, they never explain why something won. It's the Game Awards. The Game Awards last year was actually why I created the arbitrary awards because of all of the criticism of that. Because I thought to myself, what is the point of an award show if you don't explain why something won or why something was even nominated? What's the point in just listing them off and saying this won? Like, why did Rocket League win? I don't know. Because they never told me. I have no insight into what any of this advisory board said. So this nomination is meaningless.
I would love to know why.
That at an awards show? Do we ever get, like, an explanation for why?
You do on the arbitrary awards, which is why you should watch the arbitrary awards this year, because it's way better.
I'm just saying it's not something that anybody expects to have them say, this game won because of this, and this.
I feel like
right?
there are definitely some award shows.
It's been nominated. Like, even
I feel like there's some award shows that do try and actually explain a bit why it's there.
I want to say they've done that before.
But most don't. Most go out of their way not to, so they don't have to explain how insanely arbitrary some of the voting is.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, then that has no meaning. If I don't know why something won.
They never have meaning. It's just a nice, like, it's the end of the year. Here's something awesome you made. Here, take this. It's something to, like, I put in a lot of work. I like accolades. Like, that's all it is. That's all it ever will be. But they're pointless. Award shows are pointless.
As people pointed out, like, Giant Bomb does a lot of, like, end-of-the-year stuff, and they have a ton of content around deciding. I mean, they actually show, they do videos of the debate of them, like, deciding. Like, and so you actually know all the thought process behind it. And that, to me, is, like, that's why it's interesting. This, like, the Game Awards, like, to me, is not an interesting show for the most part because of that lack of context. It's just a kind of boo when you didn't like the decision and cheer when you did. I feel there was a lot of that going on. There was a lot of, if Witcher 3 doesn't win Game of the Year, we riot kind of attitude.
Well,
it did.
Well, to be fair.
To be fair, that was me.
Yeah, which I get.
Without context, it really is just a popularity contest, which is probably why Rocket League won so many of the categories that it did.
Probably a
But,
lot
like,
to do it.
I don't know.
But I'd also, I mean, okay, so speaking of Witcher 3, if it didn't win, were there any categories that you were upset by? Or felt like something was stolen from?
Well, I mean, outside of independent game,
because I would love to know why Lara Croft Go beat out Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate for best handheld game.
I'm with you on that.
Why are they even in the same category? Like, what? Can you explain?
Yeah, mobile and handheld games are still completely different.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Why the fuck is Fallout Shelter in there? It's barely even a game. Yeah, that category is a joke.
Downbell, Pac-Man 256, those are all mobile games, completely different from handheld games.
Yeah, and honestly, like,
handheld game is basically best 3DS game, but still.
Yeah,
if Go is like essentially just a like little better Infinite Runner.
No, you're not thinking of the same game at all.
No,
am I not?
No, you're not at all. Lara Croft Go is the kind of successor to Hitman Go, which was a puzzle game. And Hitman Go is very, very good, and Lara Croft Go is also very, very good. And if this was best mobile game, I would have probably agreed with that, because Lara Croft Go probably was the best mobile game to come out this year. Was it the best handheld game? Well, fuck no. I mean, there's shitloads of much better games that came out in the 3DS than that.
The Lara Croft Infinite Runner. Now I'm looking that up.
Yeah, the Infinite Runner shit. Don't worry about that. Lara Croft Go is actually a really good game. But putting them both in the same category is nonsense.
Yeah.
Absolute nonsense.
That one bothered me.
Relic Run is the name of that one. Relic Run.
I also have a few issues with the soundtrack category, and it's actually like affecting kind of how I'm doing my soundtrack category this year, because I feel like there's a difference between a score and a soundtrack, and there's a difference between an original soundtrack, and we got The Man Who Stole the World in here, so we win. The problem, I guess, with a lot of modern games is a bit of a mix of that. You know, Phantom Pain wins best score and soundtrack. There is, of course, some original music in that, which is good, but then there's also some music which is not original. I wonder if you've got to try and separate the two. Because it's like having Grand Theft Auto 5 win best soundtrack. It's like, well, it's all licensed.
Yeah, I would say I would associate any music with Phantom Pain would be like licensed tracks. Like rather than their original scores.
Yeah.
Like Man Who Sold the World.
Yeah.
Well, I guess like the most I could think of is maybe like Quiet's theme, which they also did a performance of at the show. Like,
Which was
that's a strong piece of
not
music.
a brilliant performance, I have to say.
I didn't think so either. I'm glad I'm not
No.
the only one. I was like,
I'm kind of glad it ended when it did. The singing was not brilliant on that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Although I like I certainly like the thought behind it. You know, kind of a little tribute to Kojima. That's cool, but it was not exactly executed that well. I wonder how last minute it was. Actually, probably quite last minute as a result of the lawyer thing.
But yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5, when I think of like their best song, it's Man Who Sold the World, the Nuclear, basically all of their trailer music that's also in the game. Which also
definitely
has a bunch of licensed music that you can find in the game. So was that part of the soundtrack, or?
It's always going to be a weird category when you're dealing with that fact. Because I always appreciate when a game has a soundtrack that was composed for it, specifically for it, and ended up being really good and fit the game very, very well. Because mostly because I think that game composers and people that make music with games don't get anywhere near enough fucking credit. There's a lot of video game music is just really, really genuinely great, and it needs a lot more recognition. So I think it would definitely be nice if they were a bit more specific about that.
Even a lot of people love the Undertale soundtrack.
It's good.
I keep just not saying anything because I don't want to be that guy who's like, Undertale should have won fucking everything. It's an amazing game. But like, Undertale has the best soundtrack I've heard in a long time. So
that the score soundtrack category seemed very aimed at AAA and stuff that's very popular, because when I was coming up with my list for Arbitrary this year, I have none of these games on it. Like, there's a lot of other really great games that have really great soundtracks that they completely ignored, I guess probably because they're not that popular. Undertale is definitely one of them. Undertale has some amazing music in it. It's got some great themes. Stuff that reminds me of things that will be remembered years and years on as being iconic. You know, like, I'm talking like Bloody Tears level of good. You know, Man with the Machine Gun levels of good. Green Hill Zone, Chemical Plant levels of good. Stuff that just becomes timeless at that point. Whereas I don't think there's nothing in here at all in that category that will be remembered in a few years. No one's going to fucking remember any of this music. Also, Hotline Miami 2 came out this year, and they didn't even fucking mention that, so good.
Yep. I don't know. I think I would love to know what the nomination process was versus what the, because once you see what the choices are, you can kind of figure out, all right, well, this is what they thought about this and this and this. But the nomination process, there were so many games that came out this year that were phenomenal. And I'd love to know what their like overall thought process was on narrowing it down. Because you're right, a lot of it's AAA, and a lot of it are ones where you're like, all right, we kind of thought that was going to be there. Of course, we were going to see Fallout, and we were going to see Metal Gear Solid 5, and we were going to see Witcher. But like, I want to know what they're like. I love knowing stuff like this. I want to know the background.
Well,
why they did what
one
they did.
great category for kind of arbitrary bullshit, I guess, is games for change. Now, if I recall last year, they had a similar category. Was it the same category? Yeah, they had games for change last year as well. And they didn't really.
What is games?
I don't
for
remember
impact,
that.
whatever means?
They don't explain at all what games for change is. Now, last year, Valiant Hearts won it. Now, in the category last year, we had Valiant Hearts, Mountain, Never Alone, Last of Us, Left Behind, and This War of Mine. And you think, well, you know, kind of what ties these things together? And there's not a great deal that does. I mean, you know, two of those games have a very interesting take on war. A take that's not really done a lot in video games. Valiant Hearts and This War of Mine. Last of Us Left Behind seems to have only been nominated because it had a female protagonist. Never Alone seems to have been nominated because of its cultural impact and the fact that it was a game based on Inuit culture, which is often not covered. And Mountain, which isn't a video game, was nominated for fuck knows what reason.
The only thing I could think of
very
is
arbitrary.
maybe for diversity reasons or something. Well, Last of Us Left
Behind.
Behind.
This year I think
like,
it's blindingly
Games for Change.
obvious that it was for diversity reasons.
Yeah,
because
like,
every single game in Games for Change this year had a female protagonist, or I guess in Undertale you could probably call it a very sort of gender-neutral protagonist.
Well, I mean, it's games for impact this year. So I imagine they're trying to like some
really?
sort of cult. Yeah, that's what it says.
Really?
Games for Impact.
It says on Wikipedia it's still called Games for Change. Is that wrong?
It says on the website Games for Impact on here.
That's an even weirder one because can you say that Life is Strange has had any real impact on anything?
And that's what I was going to say. Out of all these games, like Story, I loved Her Story in that it was like a game where you made the story, like as you were putting it together, like it was a really well, like creative idea where you're like scanning through police footage and you're like, as you play, it was like, oh shit. Like,
apparently they changed the name at the last minute because there was some bullshit on Tumblr and Twitter complaining. So that's probably
why. Well, they
why.
should. Out of all the games listed, I think Life is Strange had the least impact.
Yeah, I don't think
if we're looking at this award as like it represented something that doesn't always get represented, in Life is Strange you could wind up with a lesbian ending. Undertale had both lesbian and gay relationships and a transition story. Like it covered a lot of things. Like if that's more what they're trying to focus on is like diversity in a large scope, then it makes sense. But
I think they need to be clear about what that category is. Because I mean,
me too.
If you look at it last year, you've got a weird situation where Dragon Age Inquisition wins Game of the Year, which is nonsense. And then Dragon Age Inquisition is not in Games for Change, yet BioWare is kind of classic when it comes to having diversity almost to a fault. You know, that Dragon Age Inquisition also having a transition story in it, also having gay, bisexual, lesbian relationships, all that sort of thing in it. That's not even mentioned in that category. I want to know what the category is supposed to be. I mean, Sunset in Games for Change, Sunset had no impact on anything. You know, Sunset barely sold. Sunset is an unbelievably dull experience. The only impact Sunset had was a few articles complaining that it didn't sell very well, and Tale of Tales throwing a fucking wobbly when it didn't do that, and then saying, we don't like video games anymore, fuck you. I don't see what impact this game made on anything. I think Undertale is going to have a genuine impact on the way indie games are developed and thought about over the next few years. Life is Strange probably will not, although I will say that it's definitely evolved the whole very narratively focused genre, which has been dominated by Telltale games for the last few years. I definitely think that it's good that that's happened. But again, it's just a very weird category that doesn't really seem to make a huge degree of sense.
I agree.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I think if you want to make an award that is about representation of groups or ideas or that don't get represented as much as perhaps they should in games, then just be honest about what that is.
Yeah.
Because I don't mind that. I really don't mind that. You know, I mean, you can have awards for fucking anything. Like I say, you can be arbitrary as you want. If you want to do an award for representation of underrepresented groups or whatever, go for it. But just call it that. Don't be weird. Don't say Games for Impact or Games for Change, because you're not committing to the idea. Like, what have you achieved by having that category? Nothing.
I'm still not even convinced that that's what it is.
I don't even know. That's the problem. I mean, is it a coincidence that every single game in there, again, has a female protagonist? But then again, you compare it to last year where that wasn't the case at all. I'm like, so I don't know what this category is. I just don't know what it is.
Like, I imagine impact is referring to, like, I don't know, like a gaming culture impact. I have no clue what it means, honestly.
I don't think Life is Strange had really any impact on gaming
culture.
culture.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Gaming culture-wise, Life is Strange really didn't.
Sunset definitely didn't. Sybil certainly didn't. Her Story and Undertale may have. Because I think both Her Story and Undertale do a good job of making you think a little bit differently about what games can be. A lot of people complain that Her Story is like, oh, it's not a game. It really is. Like, it very much is. It's a mystery. It's a detective mystery. You're solving a mystery. That is a game.
But you don't actually solve it in the game, I think is what people are saying. Like, there is no, like, I click to win button because now I piece the pieces together. It's like you solve it.
There's no, like, win state.
Yeah, it's an experience. Like, you're playing it, and it's, yeah, by the time you're done, you're like, holy shit,
There's still a
awesome.
challenge, though.
We could argue the same thing for Journey or most of the Telltale games.
I think with Journey, you've definitely like got a solid ending to Journey. I think with Her Story, a lot of people don't seem to maybe understand that, like, in order to get access to the rest of the content in the game, you've got to actually work for it. I think that's a defining point of what a game is and what is not. Like, that there's something obstructs your progress in some way. And Her Story is usually about, oh, well, I've got to find the right keywords to get the next piece of footage and all that kind of thing and tie this all together. And obviously a lot of it you're doing in your head. But, I mean, it's still a game. It's a mystery. It's still something you've got to work to solve.
Yeah.
But, it's a weird category, and they probably should maybe change that category and figure out what it's supposed to be. I think it's kind of my conclusion on that. Best narrative, Her Story wins that. I have no problem with that.
Same.
Neither do I. I think it's one of those games where it was all narrative driven, and the narrative is you piecing stuff together to find. Like, you're involved in the narrative. It reminds me of that book that came out 2-3 years ago. That was a J.J. Abrams book where it was 3 books in one. Where it was the main book. It was called like S or something like that. But it's a main book, and then written in the sidelines is one dude's scribblings, and then there's a third person writing. So like you're reading the book 3 times to get the complete story because there's like a whole other mystery involved. It was like legit really cool, and I love that concept here where it's like as you dig in, you keep digging into the way her story works, and eventually like, oh shit, I think I get it, and then it's like, oh shit, what? Like and the only way you find those things is because you piece together stuff. You have to write things down, like, oh, so in this video she said a name, so I'm gonna write that name down. Now I'm gonna search for that name. Okay. Oh, in this video she said this. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna search for this. And so it's super engaging and super interactive, and I love that about that game.
Yeah, I need to get around to sitting down with Jen and playing it because for me that game would probably be super frustrating because I'm very bad at like picking up on details. Jen's good at it, so I want to sit down and figure that out with her. So that is still a game on my list that I actually want to finish. But I think that it winning over Life is Strange is definitely fair. I mean, Life is Strange had a decent narrative. It certainly had some weird points. Tales of the Borderlands was a really well-written game. Give him credit for that.
Apparently that's like the best Telltale game. And
it is. It actually is. And you wouldn't expect it to be. It's legit good. I got back to playing a couple more episodes of it because I played the first episode as I usually do with Telltale games, get my assessment, and then usually I come back at the end of a series if I care enough. Borderlands is like, the humor's good, the setting's cool, unexpected things happen. This is kind of neat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tales from Borderlands is good. I like it. What else is there? Until Dawn. Yeah, I mean, Until Dawn's narrative was a 90s slasher film.
It was okay.
Which is what I wanted out of that game, but I certainly wouldn't call it a fucking tour de force of storytelling. It's not.
Yeah, if I had to go full nitpick on Until Dawn, I would come at it from the story-wise example that Until Dawn set up the game at the beginning saying this is like some butterfly effect shit where every choice you do has a consequence. In reality,
but
it's all like 90% false choice. The vast majority of the choices you make don't matter. It's only a few key ones that really matter that change things later on. So it's like, all right.
That's a lot of games. I mean, really, you've got to bear in mind the problems behind developing a game where you don't see the vast majority of the content in a playthrough. And a lot of companies will say, well, we can't afford this. Like, if we develop 20 hours of content, yet a playthrough only takes 4, then we have people turning around and saying this game's too fucking short. And we have people that, we spent money developing content that people never saw. And every time you have a real branch, you've got to think, well, okay, half of this content now I'm not going to get to see. And which is why a lot of these games end up like they're wide in the middle and they're narrow at the end. A game starts like this, it goes here, and then it narrows off at the end. Because you can't really necessarily have games that have truly different choices that impact the rest of the game in a real way. So a lot of it is very cosmetic. Like, well, this character isn't here anymore, or this character now has a scar on their face for the rest of the game, and all that sort of thing. Those are the choices which are easy to implement in terms of development. Real choices, that's some hard shit.
Until Dawn actually has a scar mechanic. I don't want to spoil anything, but said scar actually influences thing, it's really cool. Like, Until Dawn is a great game. Like, I can't not say enough good things about it.
I enjoyed Until Dawn.
Yeah, like Until Dawn's, like, I think all the games there, narrative-wise, deserve to be there. But there are other narrative games that I would like to know why they weren't included. Like that, again, I would just love to know the why of behind the scenes.
What is missing from that narrative category, do you think, that should have been there?
Dodger's
missing from the category?
Dodger,
I'm missing?
Dodger, this is when you say...
Jesse.
Is it,
You're so dumb.
No, wait, hold on, I've got this. Undertale.
Thank you, Dodger. Yeah.
Would you put Undertale in narrative?
I would.
Maybe.
That's the only part that I liked about that game.
Okay.
I thought the rest of it was garbage, but I like the narrative. I like the story. I like the experience of it.
I don't know. I don't feel like the I don't know. I don't know how to put this. But
Try.
Try. Like I don't think that the story I don't think was anything new. It was the way that the game acted out the story, and
but that's her story. Her story's not a new story. It's the way you experience the story, and that's how I feel about Undertale. I like the experience of Undertale storytelling. I didn't like the gameplay at all. I wasn't a huge fan.
Go ahead, Dodger.
But Undertale is like linear up to a point, whereas her story is never linear, and that's the point of its narrative through line, right? Like,
yeah.
Narrative is an interesting term when you refer to video games. Because you could have a book, you could have a award for books which like best sci-fi storyline, and people would know exactly what that meant. When you talk about narrative in video games, you've got to wonder, well, okay, is this just the script writing? Is this the way that the lines are delivered? Narrative has a lot to do with cutscenes, but also with games it has a lot to do with the interaction. So, how do you define what the best narrative is in an interactive medium where you can ultimately change what happens? That's an interesting concept to me that I've liked a lot, and I think that the reason why I like Undertale and also is the same reason that I like Brothers is because those are two games that understand that delivering the narrative to the player is best done through gameplay. And that's where games are always the strongest. And Undertale has quite a lot of that in it. And Brothers has a lot of that in as well. Does Brothers have the best story? No! No, it's cliched as fuck.
But that's not the category. Yeah, you're right. That's not the category, though. Story is different from narrative.
Yes.
Narrative is the delivery of the story.
Yeah, and it's the delivery, generally speaking, through the way that the game works.
Yeah, and I think that Undertale, the way it delivers that like kind of story that like, all right, yeah, I've seen this before, but the way it delivers it is really cute and fun, and I kind of like that. And her story, it's not really like it's basically a Law and Order SVU episode, but delivered in like a really creative, fun way, and you're like, oh shit. I mean, I haven't played Tales from Borderlands, but everyone says that's a ton of fun. I imagine the story is like it's
delivered in exactly the same way as every other Telltale game.
Yeah,
as in meaningless choices and pretty well written dialogue for the most part.
I mean, Witcher is a fantasy story with a lot of things you've seen before in fantasy. In fact, it even talks about that. Like, oh yeah, no, this is a fan. It's just delivered in a really fun way. And so, like...
And Witcher's a weird one as well, because you can literally just go off the beaten track for like 20 fucking hours and not have the main storyline told to you, but you're still experiencing the narrative of the overall world through the side quests and what you experience.
Yeah, I think all these things that are there deserve to be there for fun reasons, because the narrative's told in really creative ways. I think that if there was a category called story, this would be an entirely different, like... Yeah. A lot of these things on here shouldn't be here. Like, her story shouldn't be in the story category. It wouldn't be in the story.
Yeah, because the story kind of sucks. But the way that you piece the story together is how the narrative is delivered. It's the same reason why I don't care how good a story you maybe think Dear Esther has, the way that it delivers the story is so fucking awful that I could never appreciate that fact. Whereas Stanley Parable also kind of has a pretty shitty story, but the way it delivers it is good. So as a result, the narrative is more engaging because of the connection between what you're doing in the game and what the game is telling you.
And just a more recent version of my life is Soma is, I think, a really cool story. I think it's delivered as shit. I do not enjoy the delivery of the story, but I love the concepts in it. I think the concepts in Soma is totally legit. I'm like, this is cool. This gets you thinking. I hate how it's delivered. I'm not a fan of the delivery of it, but whatever,
It's a genuine challenge with games when it comes to delivering narrative, because the narrative often conflicts with the gameplay, it conflicts with the character development, especially when so many games are designed around a lot of violence. it's difficult to have real character development when you're slaughtering thousands of fucking people, because what that would do to somebody in real life, it conflicts completely with the way that the character is acting. Ludonarrative dissonance is an issue. It's maybe, I think, one of the biggest challenges with video games, is to be able to deliver a cohesive narrative while still giving players freedom and also giving players enjoyable deep game mechanics to play with. Especially considering a lot of players just want to ignore all the story entirely.
And choosing a tone, too.
If you tell it well, people will be engaged and care about your story, even if it's like a story they've heard before or seen before. If it's told well and done differently, narrative's super important. This is one of the categories I like this better than like best script or best story, because this actually is a creative category, and I'm okay with that. I'm down with the best narrative category. I think that's legit.
Cool. So they did that right, at least. Good to know. All right, we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back and we'll cover the rest of the nominations and talk a little bit more about what we liked about the show, what would have done better. You're watching the Co-Optional Podcast. Don't come anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-Optional Podcast. We are discussing the Game Awards 2015, and we shall continue to do so and complain.
We know what we want to talk about next.
Yeah, I know what I want to talk about.
All right.
Is it about how TB couldn't do a two-peat in Trending Gamer?
Yeah, man.
I maybe should have mentioned in that contest and decided entirely by public voting that I was actually nominated. That was maybe a mistake, but it's cool. Greg gave a better speech than I could have anyway, so I don't really mind. It's like, as long as Markiplier didn't win it, we're fine.
I thought I was trending. I don't know what's going on, guys. I thought I had it. I thought I had it in the bag.
I didn't know you were allowed to win twice in a row.
You know, I still haven't got my fucking trophy.
Ooh.
I'm pretty salty about that, and I'm saltier still that some idiots on certain forums were like fucking pretending to know what was going on. We got a form back in March of this year that was about the trophies. They're like, yeah, we're sending the trophies out to those who didn't attend. So you get one for free. If you want additional trophies for team members, they're $750 each.
Can I have a trophy? Can I get a trophy? I'll give you $750 for a trophy.
Well, it doesn't matter because they didn't even send me one. So, so we filled the form out. It's like, yeah, we'll just have one. Thanks, blah blah. That was in March, and it's now December, and we haven't had it yet. So
I would love to have a trophy for no reason. I just want a trophy.
I want an arbitrary trophy. You can make so much money, TV.
That would be nice.
Make some arbitrary award trophies, sell them for $750.
Absolutely, yeah.
Pop.
I'll definitely come up with something for that. Yeah, and. Yeah, people wonder, like, why would you want additional trophies? It's like, well, if you wanted it for, like, say, a different studio, maybe you want it for your studio, and you want one for the studio in here, and another for here, blah, blah. You know, it's for big companies, not for, like, one dude. But people were like, oh, well, you know, I bet he just didn't talk to them about it. You know, he shouldn't talk about this publicly, blah, blah, blah. Shouldn't be causing drama. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about, idiots. Fucking morons. And people are like, oh, yeah, I know a lot about this business. I read subreddits sometimes. And
I love some of the people when they accepted their awards who had like little like nods to like, don't let people on YouTube tell you your game. Like there's a few of the comments.
Greg Miller definitely did that.
It wasn't like saying it, but it was like, don't let YouTube critics silence your voice. And I was like, oh shit. It was great.
Can you explain which YouTube critic has silenced any voice over the last few years?
I have no clue.
Because I know quite a few YouTube critics that were silenced by game developers. DMC fucking A. Thank you very much. But, yeah, whatever. Greg Miller's speech was fun. He deserved to win that, so I have no problems with that. He was on the podcast a while ago. He was great.
Oh, dude. He's like a legit cool dude. So... Yeah. And he stood up there and gave it like an honest, real, like...
A real speech. Yeah. You guys are great because you make great video games. Like, yep, you're right. They are, and they do. Thanks for the positivity. This is good. You know, it wasn't preachy. It was just a genuine, like, hey, thank you for being awesome. And I'm cool with that.
Honestly, everyone in that room, like, deserved to be... Well, all right. There are a lot of people who were invited who didn't deserve to be there.
I was going to say, no, they didn't.
Everyone who made games... Everyone who made games deserved to be there because I would say that every game that was on that list, like, they were all good games. Like, none of the games I was like, oh, that game's shit, doesn't deserve to be on there. So, I mean, shout out to everyone because this year was a pretty fucking good game, like, year for games. There was a lot of cool games that came out this year. I can't even hate. we've had years where we've done this podcast, and it's come around to the end of December, and we've been like, holy, I think like 2013 maybe. We were like, holy.
2013
What,
was
two-
pretty
like,
bad.
2014 was pretty bad. Yeah, it was. 2014 was maybe one of the worst years for broken games. Oh, and as we said last year, it's like, hey, yeah, game of the year is Dragon Age Inquisition. Like, no, it fucking isn't. No, did you even play that game? No, that game wasn't very good. I'm sorry. Oh dear. I mean, last year you get. I think like this year you had a lot of legit contenders for game of the year. A lot of really solid games and games that were less broken than the year before, which I'll give them credit for. That's nice.
So can we talk about something that is really near and dear to my heart?
Yes, Jesse, I would love to hear this.
Is it still to do with the Game Awards? Because if we're going
It
off in the
is,
direction,
it does.
okay,
It does.
as long as it's got nothing to do with
Don't
Squeenix,
worry.
because we'll get onto the Squeenix thing after the Game Awards discussion.
It has to do with my hatred of Tim Schafer.
Oh, here we go. All right, okay.
So, as a man who owns a signed, framed thing from, God, my brain just died. I'm old. Help me out here. The game with the two characters, you can switch between the two characters.
Broken Age.
Broken Age.
Broken Age?
Yeah.
Look, guys, I already described. I'm old. I haven't had enough caffeine today. It's a long one. With a signed Tim Schafer Broken Age poster, I would say, don't give this man money. He has been entirely untrustworthy with money, and what he's delivered has not lived up to anything that it should. And more importantly, in order to get more money, he basically jerked at every nerd's nostalgia boner and said, oh, now I'm going to give you Psychonauts 2. Can I please have $3.3 million? Thanks. And we're going to do it on a website created by a friend who I believe used to work for Double Fine.
Yep, he is
And
also
then-
on the advisory board of said website, I should point out, which to me seems like a fairly gigantic conflict of interest.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
What?
People have already called him out on the fact that a few days ago they bumped the days remaining.
Yeah, I was trying to play devil's advocate, like when this first started happening, and everybody was like, "Why would we give Tim Schafer more money?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, maybe they've learned how to not fuck
Nope.
it up because they've
They have
done
not
this so
learned.
many times
Tim
now.
Schafer
Maybe they've
has
and then they changed the date, and I was like, "Fuck, I can't anymore, guys."
Tim
I
Schafer
can't
has
help you.
notoriously in the industry been known as the guy who cannot do. He's always over budget and over time. That's just the way he has been. And when people started giving him their money, only then did we, the gamers, see how ridiculous he is. And
Well, I mean, a lot of us went to bat for him when Bobby Kotick came out and criticized him, and
Yeah.
this was over the whole Brutal Legend thing.
Brutal Legend.
And looking back on what Bobby Kotick said and actually reading the proper interviews with him, now with that context and knowledge, you can see that Bobby Kotick was actually being sensible and that he was certainly not the fucking devil that everybody made him out to be back then. And I was guilty of getting on that fucking bandwagon. I took the piss out of fucking Bobby Kotick. Absolutely. Because we all believed in Tim Schafer. Tim Schafer was a golden god in our eyes back then.
I cannot stress, like, I was with you. I was with you, and I still was with you, even into Broken Age. When Broken Age episode 1 came out, I was still like, you know what? There's still a chance. It was fun. I had a lot of fun with episode 1. Episode 2 has been great. A year goes by and we see nothing. And then episode 2 comes out and it's garbage. Like, it's entirely inferior. And it was basically like, I promise. I'm sure there's someone out there who's like, at least he makes his games.
Except when he doesn't.
Great.
Space-based
Yeah, except
DF9
when
anybody.
games vanish and he lays off people, whatever. But, I mean, as a person who loved and respected this man, and this is, let's be honest, this is the case with everything I love and respect. If they
Never meet your idols,
Jesse.
Jesse. Never meet your idols.
Square Enix, you sons of bitches. But still, like, it's one of those things where it's like, as a person, I love this guy and like what he made. I stand before you now and say, I know you're going to give him money. I know people are going to still give him money. That's fine. But I want to be the voice that says to you right now, you've made a mistake. And it's going to be a shit game. And it's going to take everything you loved about Psychonauts, an amazing game, and crap all over it. And I hope you understand that. And when you get it and you're sad, go back to Twitter and look up the Night of the Video Game Awards and just know that I warned you then. And I know that I'm right. And it pains me to have to, like, it's so sad. People are just getting ripped off. getting ripped off, and this man needs to be stopped. Stop giving him money. Stop giving him money. It's time he retired and like opened a brewery or some shit. Don't do it. Don't give him money.
If they announce that it's going to be episodic, we'll know. We'll know it's the end.
There's various issues that I've got with the whole setup. I mean, for one thing, Fig is, from what I can tell, by no means as transparent as it needs to be. The weird thing about Fig is that Fig allows for accredited investment as well as basically kickstarting. Yeah? It's both of those things. The problem is that we don't know how much money, unless I am very much mistaken here, and I'm pretty sure I'm not, has been given through investment and how much has been given through a Kickstarter. I'm pretty sure the figure on the front page of the Fig campaign is only the Kickstarted kind of crowdfunded stuff. I'm pretty sure none of the accredited investment money is there. What that means is we don't know how much this is actually going to cost. Please bear in mind that when Notch offered to fund Psychonauts 2 a couple of years back, he was told by Tim Schafer publicly it would cost $18 million. Now the Kickstarter amount for this is $3.3 million, which is significantly lower. Now, are we led to believe that somehow the cost of making games has gone down, the scope of the game has been reduced, or is there money being put in somewhere else? And since the Fig platform allows for what appears to be anonymous accredited investment, then actually I imagine this game needs a whole lot more than $3.3 million. So to me, that money seems a very arbitrary amount. And the problem with these arbitrary amounts is that Double Fine has shown they're incapable of managing any amount of crowd-funded funded capital. I know this because of what they did with Double Fine Adventure. They said we can make a thing with apparently there's a question mark next to the people are saying click the question mark next to the money amount. Okay, I don't see a question mark next to the money amount. What am I looking for here? Apparently, there may be like some other information that I'm not seeing immediately here. Do you want to?
If you need, while you look that up,
he mentions on the page it's between $10 to $15 million in grand total. He says he's getting from multiple funds. Okay.
If you need to look up what kind of, just literally Google research. Google Tim Schafer money.
There's
images.
There's nothing on that page that says like million anywhere I can see, but.
Jared, are you Googling Tim Schafer money images?
I'm doing it right now. Tim Schafer money.
If you need to know what kind of man he is, look at those photos and understand he's kind of a dick. Tim Schafer's a dick.
Yeah, so it says total raised, and then there's an investment. There is actually an investment bar on the right. It doesn't tell you how many investors there are, but it says there's been 1 million in investments, and total raised is 2 million. So one assumes that it was half crowdfunded, half not. So that is there. It's a tiny little eye that you have to click. It's not a very good website, really. So, okay, there's been $1 million in investment. Now I want to know, like, how much does this game actually cost to make? I'm trying to find that information. You know,
it's
Psychonauts. It says here the original Psychonauts budget, which had a budget between $10 and $13.5 million, but it doesn't say exactly how much they need to raise in order to actually make Psychonauts 2. Yeah, there's the kind of real problem with it. It's like, yes, I know how much the original cost, but that was like over 10 years ago now. The biggest problem, I think, with his crowdfunding, again, is that everything that Double Fine has either crowdfunded or put through early access has had a problem of some sort. Mm-hmm. For me, all of it money-based and money management-based, which, spoiler, there's a reason why he has to crowdfund shit, because there's a lot of publishers who won't give him a cent. Won't work with him.
Everyone knows he's fucking the worst with money management.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be fairly public knowledge now. And at this point, I'm thinking to myself, well, you did Double Fine Adventure, which was supposed to be a $400,000 project, which is supposed to be a classic point-and-click. Now, the project that you got out of that, not only did you spend over $3 million on half of it, and had to use that half to fund the other half, which clearly indicates that you didn't manage your budget at all, but you didn't actually create a classic point-and-click. Like, it wasn't... It really was not in the style of old LucasArts games and anything like that, actually. It really wasn't. And what came out was alright, but it wasn't brilliant. Massive Chalice is fucking shallow as hell. At least that game came out, but that game was promising all sorts of things and never really delivered on any of them. Space-Based DF9 did not deliver at all. That's a game that he put through early access. So again, what we have is a game there that they couldn't afford to finish. And they just said, right, we're done. We can't afford this. Fuck it. I guess you can have the source code and maybe fix it yourself. Those three things to me indicate a distinct lack of ability to manage money.
Yeah, super disorganization.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a studio that is very expensive to run in one of the most expensive cities in the world. It seems like I don't know where the money is going a lot of the time. Games are coming out that are lacking depth. It's like Double Fine at one point could kind of do no wrong. They were releasing sort of Xbox Live Arcade games for $15. They were like, hey, here's Iron Brigade. That game's great. Here's Costume Quest. That game's great. Here's Stacking. That game's great. Etc., etc. And then you had stuff like Hack and Slash, which actually was pretty good. But then again, that one flew kind of right under the radar. It's very, very strange how they develop games.
Even when people look back, and trust me, I got a lot of messages about how horribly wrong I was. And people would always cite games like Brutal Legend. When's the last time you played Brutal Legend and weren't disappointed by the last 3 hours of that game?
Yeah, I'll defend Brutal Legend to the death because I'm a huge
game.
Metal fan, and I also liked Sacrifice, and the strategic element of it is actually very Sacrifice-like, which a lot of people complained about that. So I went in here for like God of War with Metal, which is not what it was.
Brutal Legend is fun, but the end of that game is a complete disappointment. Like, it's definitely, we ran out of time and money and we need to finish this game.
Yes, it's a mess, no doubt.
Weird, Tim.
How did that happen?
Like that's your MO.
If the game is not sort of a short, self-contained experience, it does seem to me that Double Fine seems to have trouble delivering on what they promise. I mean, Costume Quest is great, but Costume Quest is, like 3-4 hours long? You know? It's not a particularly lengthy game. Stacking isn't very long. I would really just love to see them return to making smaller games. You know, Hack and Slash, as weird as a game as it was finished and worked. And it was a kind of smaller scope. And then Psychonauts 2 is not small scope. Psychonauts 2 is huge scope. And Double Fine Adventure was small scope and then feature creeped out to massive scope and failed as a result. I do not trust him with managing money. I don't. I really don't.
Stress. Yeah, I'm the minute I saw Psychonauts 2 and then saw like Tim be like, "Hey, donate." I was like, don't do this. If Tim was making Psychonauts 2 for the fans like he should have done, it would have been, I'm going to make you the best game ever. Buy it. That's how I'll make my money. This, give us your money first and trust me to make the game you want, is bullshit. You will be disappointed. And all these people, I swear to God, if I see another article on Kotaku or Polygon or any of those things, it's like, this is so cool. This is coming out. Everyone should go support this. You're all dum-dums. You're all dum-dums. And you deserve to lose your money. And I don't even give a shit. Kiss it goodbye.
The amount of crushing despair I felt immediately after seeing like Psychonauts 2, I was like, "Oh my god!" And he's like, "There's a new crowdfunding site called Fig." And I was like, "Oh,
yeah, oh yeah." I was watching JP's Twitch channel while they were watching
I was watching that too.
The second Tim Schafer came out and was like, "Psychonauts 2," JP just goes, "Yep, wait for it. It's gonna announce the crowdfunding. Wait for it." And then he immediately went into Fig, and I was like, "Oh God, you called it."
Yeah, Double Fine has some really great ideas and produces some games that I have liked a lot, and they're always flawed, but I will often defend them as being interesting and original and often full of heart. But as anyone as a project manager, as a business guy, as a guy running a studio, Tim Schafer is hopeless. Like, he needs to get the hell away from that, focus on the creative side, and let someone who knows what the hell they're doing with money manage it. Because I can't trust him right now. And I have a feeling Psychonauts 2 is going to prove that point again. I really do.
When he announced the Day of the Tentacle and the Full Throttle remasters or whatever, I don't remember. Did he say those were already on their way, or that
I think they're already on their way?
Funded? Okay.
Yeah, they don't need to be crowdfunded. They're pretty, and those remasters will probably be fine. You know, the Grim Fandango remaster was pretty good for what it was. You know, I had no problem with that. But then remastering a game you've already made is not that difficult. Not too worried about that. And then apparently there's also going to be a Psychonauts VR game that's completely separate to this.
Yeah.
Who the fuck's working on that? How big
Why
is
not
Double
use the
Fine
remasters
exactly?
to fund your new game?
I don't know. He's dipped into the crowdfunding well a lot, and every time he's come out looking a bit grubby. There are people like harebrained schemes that I think people feel like they can trust with Kickstarted funds. Because while Shadowrun Returns was maybe a bit disappointing, they made up for it with Dragonfall, they made up for it with Hong Kong, and then when they did the Battletech Kickstarter, people were like, you know what? We can trust you. Because you have delivered multiple times, we're cool with you doing this. And there are other studios who have dipped into the Kickstarter well and delivered and have established their reputation, and people are willing to give them money. Larian, I can trust. Absolutely. There are definitely some studios, if In Exile went back, if Obsidian went back to Kickstarter, I trust them in a heartbeat. Because they delivered in a big way. But Double Fine has not. Repeatedly has not. And as a result, I think at that point you've got to say, all right, you should cool it on the crowdfunding. Make something of your own accord, funded traditionally, and if it's good, then we might feel like it's worth, giving you some money again.
A lot of people are like, man, it's almost like he slapped Jesse personally. He's so worked up over it. Like, it's hard to describe. Like, Psychonauts I love. Like, Psychonauts isn't a, like, it's like a game growing up that, like, it's hard to describe my love for that game. And it's also hard to describe my love for a lot of the other games that Tim helped make. Like, it's like, it's hard. Yeah, it's like, I'm passionate about it because seeing such, like, don't take the game that you know your fan base wants the most and use that as the biggest bargaining chip of your life to, like, get more money from us to start this new like, it's a slap. It is. It's a slap in the face. And because Tim's such a cocky asshole, like, it's more aggravating. Like, it's just, I can't even describe to you the emotion I felt when I saw.
Not a humble man when he speaks publicly.
No.
I mean, I don't want to bring up the sock puppet shit, but it's like, look, if you're coming hand in hand asking for money, maybe don't piss off potential fucking donors by being a dick.
I can't. Yeah, it's not a physical slap in the face, gang, but it's very close, and it's aggravating, and it's not. I would rather call him out on his bullshit, and get a game. And look, if it's a good game. If Psychonauts 2 is good, I'll be the first person to be like, I was so fucking wrong. Tim, you blew me away. And I want it to be good. I know it ain't going to be good. I know it's going to be shit. Like, I can't. Tim's lost his mojo, man. It's gone.
I thought it was going to be a Psychonauts remaster at first. After announcing the previous remasters, I just figured just keep
that just made sense. I mean,
like,
go for it.
That would have made sense. Use that to fund Psychonauts 2, or at least gauge interest in a Psychonauts 2 instead of taking people's money.
Yeah, that's a little surprising they didn't do that, especially with, they've already got remasters on the way,
Yeah.
And they've already done remasters. How much money do they make from Grim Fandango? Probably a decent amount. Can't cost them too much to fix that game up. I don't know what I mean, you can literally play Day of the Tentacle with Scum VM. I mean, you don't really have to make too many changes to make, unless, and then Full Throttle as well. How much remastering does Full Throttle really need? Probably not that much. That's going to be that's a cash cow. That's a easy money maker there. Anyway, yeah, I guess we'll probably say.
Yeah,
sorry,
related to the Psychonauts thing, was it just me, or were, like, the world premieres of the Game Awards overall kind of meh this year? Like, super meh?
I agree.
Yeah, they showed Far Cry, which was like...
They had Far Cry Primal, they showed off some Uncharted 4, a little bit of Quantum Break with...
We still know nothing about that damn game.
Quantum Break?
No.
Yeah,
I know less
still
now.
told
I
me
know
nothing
less
about
now.
The thing is, they released about 6 months ago, they showed some gameplay footage where it was like, okay, it's a cover shooter with time mechanics. And everything they've shown since then has been like, woo, mystery, time thing, and just showing nothing about it.
Here's the thing. I'm convinced they're going to go the way of, like, Until Dawn or a David Cage game, because 2 years ago at whatever the hell what's the damn German convention?
Gamescom.
Help me out. Gamescom. Thank you. God, guys, I don't know what's going on with me today. I'm losing my mind. I think
You suck.
So anyway,
Telltale Batman happened.
At Gamescom, I played that game. years ago, and it was not a cover shooter. It was like an entirely different style game. And then it became a cover shooter, and now they're like, it's gonna have a story, an online story. It's gonna have. I'm telling you, it's gonna be like
don't know what's
a
going on
David
with
Cage
that.
game. It's gonna be totally different.
We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there was any really huge world premiere that blew me away. They showed a bit of like, here's Star Citizen coming along. It's like, okay, looks kind of cool. Here's Shadow Complex Remastered. Like, great, that game was good 10 years ago. Rocket League for Xbox One. Yay.
Great. Yep.
Rock Band VR. Oh, God. That was... I mean, I'm cool with this. I'm actually... This is the game I'm most excited about. I'll play the shit out of this game. But also, the way they presented it was the worst.
Yeah.
I say this as a fan of Dragon Force. Everything they did with everything to do with Rock Band in that show was cringeworthy and terrible. Oh, Jesus.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I thought it was so clever. How they had those game developers who didn't know anything about rock and roll play rock music, guys.
With their toy guitars.
Was that great? They broke all the guitars on the stage.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, they didn't have a heavy hitter this year compared to
They didn't.
when they had the Phantom Pain reveal 2 years ago or whatever. Like, that was a huge fucking deal. This year, they had jack and shit.
Dodger, are you okay?
I think she
needed to
farted. She's
sneeze.
been eating cheese.
No, I needed to sneeze and it didn't happen.
I mean, last year, they actually...
Yet another disappointment from the Game Awards.
They showed a lot of
Right?
stuff.
It's all connected.
Yeah, they showed a lot of Phantom Pain, a lot of Bloodborne, Until Dawn, Order 1886. There was a bunch of Witcher 3 footage. Wow, Godzilla the game? Yeah, that was terrible. Codename Steam. They showed a
remember
bunch
that.
of Legend of Zelda, which they didn't again show this year. A bunch of Mario Maker stuff. Tacoma, of course, they showed, which we haven't really seen a lot of since then. But yeah, it was definitely, the show was definitely a letdown in terms of reveals.
that's what a lot of people even watch the show for the first place.
Yeah, I think that is what a lot of
watch
people
their
watch it
kids.
for, the premieres, and there weren't really all that many. Anyway, let's go back to the categories and kind of blitz through the rest of them. So, Developer of the Year went to CD Projekt Red. I don't see how you
Yes.
could possibly argue with that fact. You know?
Good.
Anything
There
else
no
is wrong.
argument there.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm not sponsored by GOG anymore. Maybe I could say this without feeling awful. CD Projekt Red is a great developer. They're consumer friendly. I will not say they're perfect, because they definitely did. They have certainly not told the truth about everything, you know, claiming there was no downgrade when there was clearly a downgrade, and they misrepresented the power of, like, the Red editor and the modding capabilities of that game. But outside of that,
dude,
they're a very consumer-friendly developer, and they make good
you
games.
can play Gwent to battle now. That's all you
can,
know about the
yes,
modding capabilities of that
Crazy.
game.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I don't think there's anyone else on that list that certainly deserved it. I mean, the other nominees were Bethesda. I mean, why would you give it to Bethesda? They released one game and a shitty mobile thing this year. From Software, I mean, they released a game. Kojima, a game. Nintendo. No, I don't think I'd give it to them either.
Numerous games, but...
Numerous games, not all of which were good. People are like, why would they let TB go? It's like, because my esports team shut down. They were sponsoring
doesn't have a
Axiom.
team,
That's why.
so-
Yeah, I don't have a team anymore, so that's why. They didn't kick me out.
Oh, they fired his ass.
Fired my ass, yeah.
Reddit, they
They
fired
shook hands and
CD
walked
Projekt
away like
GOG.
bros.
Yep,
Are TV and
Fires
Dog still
Total
friends?
Biscuit.
yep.
Fires Total Biscuit for Gamergate comments. Oh my god.
Ah, absolutely.
I want
that's
that on
why.
the internet so bad.
That's
TV's
already
like,
on Tumblr. That's already on
Totally.
Tumblr, you know
Yes.
it.
That's what happened.
Good.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely. All right, let's go through the rest of the categories. Best Shooter was given to Splatoon. I don't really argue with that, considering the rest of... I mean, the rest were Blops 3, Destiny the Taken King. That's just expansion for an existing game. How the fuck do you get to list that? Didn't they gave it to Destiny last year, and they're trying to give it to Destiny again?
Gave Destiny way more story than the base game did.
True,
to be
that is
fair.
true, but it's
But
still
it
an
didn't-
expansion pack. Come on.
Yeah.
Halo 5 Guardians and Battlefront. I think that went to the right game there. Splatoon, yeah, definitely.
They also got Best Multiplayer,
They
Splatoon also
did.
got multiplayer.
which
yeah.
is basically going up against the same people and Rocket League.
Yes.
And Rocket League, which
Yeah.
if Rocket League was going to win something, I thought it should have been multiplayer.
I found it very interesting that Battlefront was in Best Shooter and not in Best Multiplayer, and Battlefront is multiplayer only. That amused me greatly. So I would agree with that on the Best Shooter. We've got... the best performance was... poor Jade Raymond. Apparently, her card said the wrong thing.
Yeah,
For Witcher?
Yeah.
Yes. Poor Jade.
I felt so bad.
Yeah, it didn't seem like the kind of mistake Jade would make. It looked like she was definitely reading the card and was like, I'm reading, oh, shit. Because they put in... So the one who won Best Performance was Viva Seaford for her story. And in there was also Doug Cockle for Witcher 3. And it's like, Viva Seaford for Witcher 3. You're like, oh, no. And then the camera panned over and they were like, do I go up?
Like,
Like,
who do I show right now? Which thing?
was one they sit? It looked like they were sitting together. Like, I don't know if that was true, but it looked like Doug was sitting next to Viva, which made it extra awkward.
That was a real cringeworthy moment. But
Oops.
it spawned so many like Jade Raymond internet was she super high then? Like all these Reddit things were about
so
what's
many
wrong with
people
her?
mentioned that, and I was like,
She
what?
she did make a bit of a weird joke about David Hayter and also about the weight of the trophy. I don't know.
After she did a lot of things that were like it reminded me when the dude from Epic Mealtime goes up to give awards or present things where he just gives zero shits, where he always gets up there and acts a fool and you're like, that crazy goofball. She had that vibe of just like, fuck it, I'm here, I'm already drunk, I don't care. And so and so literally moments before Kiefer Sutherland was out there and she's like, no.
Then she makes a joke about that. Yeah, it was.
I like the David Hayter joke. It made me laugh.
I think it would have been better if Kiefer Sutherland hadn't already left the arena by that point, because if they'd panned to him and then he'd laughed at it and like, okay, we get it. It's a rib. That's cool.
Yeah.
But because that wasn't there, it was like people were like, should I laugh? Is she actually insulting him? I don't know.
It was a weird presentation. I don't care. I was like, I love the theory that she was just wasted.
Yeah, I loved it.
She did not care.
I'm not sure. It was strange. I do kind of feel for her because there was a bit of a deer in the headlights moment, which is weird because she has a lot of presentation experience. So I don't know. Maybe she just wasn't feeling well that day. It's entirely possible. But best performance going to Viva again. I mean, I don't know. Going up against Mark Hamill as Joker and winning is Mark
Hamill even joked about in like the pre-show, or whatever. He's like,
yeah,
Joker never wins, but I'm always here.
He did a great speech, by the way.
Yeah.
Like his intro for that, when I think he gave it to Kiefer was great. That was awesome. I was a big fan of that. But yeah, I mean, that's a very subjective category, I feel.
Plus, it's a weird. I feel for Mark Hamill doing the Joker voice because it's a thing that he has done for so
years.
long that to honor him now is almost like why. Like he's so synonymous with it that to be like, oh well, he did a great Joker. Of course he fucking did a great Joker. He is the Joker. 90% of people think about when they think about the Joker's voice and his laugh and his like. It's you did. For him to have a shitty
Joker.
one. Yeah, for him to have a shitty performance is when you'd be like freaked out. But because he's so good all the time doing it, how do you even do? Like, how do you even award?
They'll give him the industry icon award next year.
Probably, yeah.
Dude, there you go. I thought it was weird under. Wait, never mind.
Okay.
Ignore me.
Sure.
Well, move on.
I was gonna make a goof. It won't be funny, but
Well, I mean, that's not surprising, but
I know. I was gonna make a goof and say that Leo will get an Oscar before Mark Hamill will get an award.
possibly. Yeah.
Oh my god, if Revenant looks like as good as I think it's gonna be, he's gonna get an Oscar for that shit. That movie looks dope.
He won't. You know he won't.
He won't though. He will never get an Oscar.
No, Leo will be consistently denied.
Now, they're just like
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. That guy.
Oh my god! Every time Oscar season comes around, I can't wait for the Leonardo DiCaprio memes.
Yeah.
I hope if he gets one, he just breaks it over the counter. He says, I don't even want it.
Don't want it anymore, you bastards.
Oh no, he gives a speech and then just
Fuck
leaves
all
it out
y'all.
on the stage and
Lovely.
walks away. Just
Yeah.
leaves it.
He drops it like a mic, just
Yeah.
and it just walks off.
Oh, man. Best action adventure went to Metal Gear Solid 5. The others in the category were Assassin's Creed Syndicate, fucking what? Batman, Ori and the Blind Forest, and Rise of the Tomb Raider. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Metal Gear's phenomenal. If it's just on gameplay, Metal Gear Solid 5 is phenomenal.
Yeah. Hard to argue with
Story's
that.
all over the damn place, but whatever. It's gameplay wise, it's great.
The story is absolute shit, but man, what a game.
It's not great, but it's really entertaining. This is one of those things about narrative. The
Yeah.
story's not very good, but that is a fucking entertaining game. It's super entertaining.
Definitely weird to see Bloodborne in the RPG category and not in the action-adventure category. But again, I guess action-adventure is a very generic kind of category. I mean, again, you've got multiple genres in here. You know, Metal Gear Solid 5 is a stealth action game. Ori and the Blind Forest is a Metroidvania 2D platformer. They're not the same at all, but hey,
It's weird
whatever.
to see Fallout under best role-playing game and not best shooter.
Well, it certainly wouldn't be under either, in my opinion, but...
Oh,
Hey. Yeah, because Fallout 4 is maybe the worst role-playing game in the Fallout series since Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, which was entirely not a
snap.
role-playing game at all.
Oh gosh.
There's not a lot of role-playing you can do in Fallout 4, I gotta say. But Best RPG went to Witcher 3. It was in the category with Pillars of Eternity and Undertale. You know, it would have definitely been nice to see one of those two maybe get a nod there, but I don't really blame them for giving it to Witcher 3. Doesn't seem too terrible to me. Best fighting game only had 4 games in it, and one of them's not a fighting game, which is incredible. I'm not really sure how that one went, but they gave it to Mortal Kombat 10. The other people were Guilty Gear Xrd Sign, which came out in 2014! I know this because I gave it it was in my top 10 of 2014. Rise of the Incarnates, which is not only not a fighting game, but the game shut down. The servers are shutting down next week. It was pulled from Steam in October.
God, yes, more. I need
And
more.
Rising Thunder, which isn't even done yet, it's in beta.
Yep. He's absolutely right.
Who the fuck picked that category? Did they have nobody on staff that knew anything about fighting games?
I want to go back to what I said at the beginning. I would love to know the nominee process. I don't care about
How
who
did
wins.
that
I just want to know
happen?
how
Jeff
nominees get
Chase is
chosen.
in that room going, well, we can't just let him win by default.
I mean, 2015 has not been an amazing year for fighting games. I will definitely say that. But there is a lot of stuff that did come out that they completely fucking ignored. Mostly Japanese stuff. I mean, there was a BlazBlue game that came out this year, if I recall correctly, right?
Was
I
there?
want to say
I don't
so.
know. Maybe?
I think so. I may be wrong there. I may be wrong.
That
They could have
Capcom
also
Cup,
maybe
though.
nominated. I mean, it's not really out yet, but I think it's out in Japan. The latest Guilty Gear, which is Revelator, which I think is already out in Japan. Although I may be wrong there.
I would have said Brawlhalla.
Sure.
Brawlhalla's
Yeah, get
very
Brawlhalla in
good.
there. Yeah. Is Revelator out yet?
When did the new Smash come out? Was that last year?
Yeah,
last year.
Revelator's out. Revelator's been out in the arcade for a couple of months. You could have. Here's the stupid thing. You could have nominated Revelator.
The Final Fantasy Dissidia arcade game has been out.
Yeah.
And that's
Chrono
more
Phantasma
relevant.
Extend. Yeah, was out this year. So yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, that category clearly was not well informed
No.
at all.
No, I think honestly, Jared's joke was probably right. Like, Mortal Kombat X is clearly
Yeah.
like the biggest, best title in the fighting game genre of the year, and it was like, all right, well,
The
who do we
most
put up against
well-known.
it to make it seem like, and I ain't gonna hate. Mortal Kombat 10 was great. I love that game.
yeah,
I thought it was a lot of
sure.
fun. But yeah, it's like, who do we put up against it so that we
Rise
have
of
other
the
people in this
fucking
category?
Incarnates.
We need to look like he has to earn it.
Yeah. I get it's a goof, but it seems totally true. Like, I
Yeah.
get it. That
You-
makes sense to me.
Yeah, it was just a stupid category. I mean, you've got a game that's not a fighting game that's shutting down in 3 days and was removed from Steam 2 months ago, and then you've got a game that came out last year, and then a game that's in beta. Right, okay. Moving on. Best family game. This is always an interesting one. Also known as best game to sell you a lot of plastic toys, which included 3 games in that particular... Actually, all games in this category sell you plastic toys.
Yes,
Disney
but-
Infinity, plastic toys. Lego Dimensions, plastic toys. Skylanders, plastic toys. Splatoon, Amiibos, plastic toys. Super Mario Maker, the winner, Amiibos, plastic toys. Also, Mario Maker's not a video game.
But it's a hell of a lot of fun. I don't care what anyone says. Mario Maker
play
is
other
super
people's
silly.
stuff.
No, Mario Maker's a construction set. Fuck that. Not a video game.
But you play it.
No.
Yes.
No, it's not a video game.
Yes.
Mario Maker's fun.
You make
There
things.
are people who just play shit. They don't
Tool
make
set.
anything.
Of course it is a game, but I like to take the piss anyway. I like to get people riled up when I say that. And it worked. It worked really well. The chat is fucking furious. I love it.
Oh, chat took sides immediately. There were some people who were like, he's right, it's not a game.
Yeah,
Like,
not a game.
Damn.
Oh dear. But I'm glad that won over all the shut up and give us money for plastic shit games that were there. Although I'd have been okay with Splatoon winning too, even though that also has plastic shit. But let's be honest,
they had to throw a bone to Mario Maker in one of the categories.
Yeah,
like
true,
that's
true.
it's a huge game. Yeah.
well, the weird thing is, it's not really a good game. Like, it's just Mario from like 20 years ago. Only you can make it. Like, it hasn't really evolved Mario
It's like
too
Minecraft,
much.
though. It's based on it's community made. What the community makes, that's what makes it entertaining. And
Yeah, but you're still making it within the basic systems and mechanics of a Mario game that's 20 years old.
The mechanics of the Mario game are actually like 6 years old because every single Mario one in there is based off the new Mario Wii engine rather than the
Jared with the knowledge bomb. Love it. There you
That
go.
really bothered me when I played it. When I was switching over to the original Mario style, and it didn't play like NES Mario. It just played like Mario Wii, just with that graphics
Interesting.
filter on top of it.
Yeah, I played I was never a Mario kid growing up, so I don't even notice the difference.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
there's especially like in the original Mario because you play that game is hard compared to what Mario is these days. Like you can't turn around mid-air. Like there's so much more momentum-based jumping mechanics within those games compared to what they have now. That being said, people have made some really cool shit with like those current mechanics and things that Nintendo would never even think of.
And that's what it's about. It's about playing the stuff that Nintendo would, I don't know, not think of, but not have the balls to be like, hey, little kid, try and play this game. Like it's awful. People are horrible to each other with this game. Like humanity once again proves humanity is pure evil. Because when you play this game, you're like, holy shit! Like how do you? I've never been killed by more invisible blocks in my life, and it's just assholes. Thousands of assholes. Like
my son has it, and he's like, "Come and play my level." And I start nitpicking the shit out of the design. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I go down this, he puts a warp pipe in, and I go down to a warp pipe area. There's literally nothing there. And getting out of it is super hard. And because it was designed, like, there's no reward for going in there in the first place. There's fucking invisible blocks everywhere. He's designed it in a way where you have to lose your 1-up in order to bypass it. Like, your design is terrible. Like
That's awesome.
You did not design a fun level. You designed a terrible level.
Mario Maker.
Thank you for just laying down the law.
I refuse to play his levels anymore because they're just like, you're just a dick and you're expressing that through Mario.
Yeah, the amount of people who made like those trolly super hard Mario levels, those aren't the best levels. Those are
Well,
just
some of
deck
them
levels.
are, but the thing is, like, to make a truly hard level that's actually skill-based, it actually takes a lot of hard work. You can make a level that's just bad and difficult because it's badly designed, and then there are levels that are difficult because they're really well designed, and they require a lot of precision. And actually making a level like that is hard, but making a bad level that's difficult is extremely easy. And Mario Maker has demonstrated that, which is why most of the Mario Maker levels are fucking terrible.
Well, what you find out, if you play it enough, is that most of the really trolly levels, in order to beat a level, right, you have to beat it. Like, in order to put it out there, you have to beat it as the creator. Most of those really trolly levels have a back door. Almost all of them have a back door. And it's literally like, this cloud will take you over the entire level. You're like,
and that's how they did it.
This isn't even that hard. This isn't that. You cheater. Like, I just had to find out what the deal was. So, yeah, at least it balances it that way. Like, once you figure out, like, oh, this is a dick level, you're like, all right,
there's
where's
probably
the
a
back
secret
door?
way of doing it somewhere. Yeah. Okay, to move on, last couple of categories. Best sports and racing game went to Rocket League. I mean, okay, I guess. I mean, it was the only original game in a category full of sequels. FIFA 16, Forza 6, NBA 2K16, and Pro Evolution 2K16.
That's the one category I would have given it to.
Yes,
Like, it
sure.
was fun and creative in a sports game that was like, you didn't even have to like sports games to enjoy that game.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I would have been like, all right, you get this. There's no way it deserved to win all those other ones, but whatever.
No, probably not.
What else?
The last couple of categories, we've done best multiplayer, best art direction. So this is an interesting one. Went to Ori, and the other... This is where I have to disagree with a lot of the picks here. Batman Arkham Knight was in this category. Bloodborne was in it. Metal Gear Solid 5 and The Witcher 3.
A lot of darkness. A lot of dark
Why is
games.
Batman in that game? Why is Batman in the art direction category? Like, it didn't look any different to the previous Batman games. There's nothing unique about Arkham Knight.
That Arkham Knight, though, his mask was cool.
Yeah, just like the other ones. I mean, Bloodborne,
You
I
were
think...
able to kill people with your car, but they weren't really.
But they weren't really dead, because you only tased them
they
at
were just
250
robots,
miles an
so-
hour.
Yeah.
Except when they weren't. But Bloodborne, I think... I don't want to say it got robbed in that category, but I think it was a strong contender. Ori is a beautiful game. Like, in terms of...
So is Bloodborne, though.
Bloodborne is a beautiful game, yes.
But because it's
Bloodborne is
not
a gorgeous
colorful,
game.
people didn't like take that in the same way as like your typical art direction. You know?
Do you
Does
think
some
Metal
of them-
Gear Solid should even be in an art direction category?
No.
I don't think
No.
so.
It's a gorgeous
In
game.
comparison to other games that had really strong, interesting aesthetics, I don't think that it
Yeah.
could have
Yeah.
held
Yeah,
up.
but that's we're arguing like how good a game looks compared to artistic design, because Bloodborne's artistic design is phenomenal. Like, just
Yeah.
any of the monsters or just like the world, it's all incredible.
I
From
would-
Software
yeah.
always nails that shit.
Yeah.
I would, even as a giant Witcher fanboy, I'd say art design, Bloodborne is like phenomenal. Like, it
Yeah.
should have won that category. The art design in Bloodborne is like, it's really interesting to look at. Like, it
Yeah.
visually, you're just like, holy shit, what the fuck is
Yeah.
that? Like, it keeps you engaged, and it has to, because it's one of those games where it's like, it's gonna be really hard, so we need to give you a reason to keep coming back and getting your ass kicked.
Well, art direction's got a lot to do with your willingness to explore that world as well, and From always creates these worlds which give you very little context to what's going on, and you have to sort of piece it together through the way that the world is designed, and art direction is a huge part of that. And Bloodborne, I think more so than anything, is probably their best game yet in terms of art design. And I have a number of issues with that game, not least of which the fact that it runs like shit and it's on PS4 and I'd want it on PC, but that is a beautiful game in a very dark way with a very unique aesthetic. There's obvious influences from all. I mean, there's some very Lovecraftian influences. There's a lot of H.R. Geiger in there. It's a wonderful game in terms of art direction. Whereas Witcher 3 and Metal Gear Solid 5, it's almost like this category was like half aesthetic and half good graphics.
Yeah.
Because I think
Yeah.
MGS 5 and Witcher 3 are in there for good graphics, and so is Batman. And I don't think they belong in there for that reason.
It reminds me of when especially The Witcher. It reminds me of when they do like a costuming or set design category at the Oscars, and it's always like crazy sci-fi movie, 3 period pieces, and the period pieces always win because it's like, well, they made the 1800s look so real. It's like, well, yeah, but this
That's
other
not
person
hard.
created an entire fucking galaxy.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
but they never win. They never win. And it's always because it's like, well, yeah, but look at the buttons they made. Those buttons are period piece buttons. And it's that way every year. Every year it's that way in the Oscars. And you're like, give it to the people who created a world for once, please. And I feel like that's kind of what this was. It was like, all right, I don't know.
Ori did create their own world. Ori was a beautiful
still
game.
A gorgeous game. Yeah.
It's a gorgeous
It
game.
is.
Did it deserve to win this category? I don't think so. But
I think it was a toss-up between that and Blood Bowl. I would have been okay with either of them. The other three in that category just don't even... Batman in particular doesn't even deserve to be there.
Yeah.
There is no reason, because it's not like they changed their art direction from the last 3 fucking games. They didn't. It looks just a little bit shinier and a little bit wetter than the previous Arkham games.
And for some reason, they made all the female characters a little younger looking and a little like a little more like a clay doll. Look. I'm not a
bit
fan
weird.
of what they did to Harley. Like they
No.
made her look not like she should look at all. It was like,
It does seem like it's every Arkham game is a competition to make Harley look slutty than last time. It's like, really?
Right?
Do you have to do that? Like,
I'm not a
didn't like
fan
her
of what they
face.
did with her character. Yeah, her face looks weird. Like it's a
Like,
weird looking face.
Ever since like the first trailer, I was like, "There's something's wrong there."
They like kind of baby dolled her out. Like
Yeah.
I do not like I thought the game was okay, but yeah, they baby dolled out Harley and then somehow managed to make Poison Ivy even sluttier looking. It's like, how is this possible? Like, you've taken her clothes Like, how can you continue to do this? It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Whatever. And Catwoman as well. They were like, yeah, no, she's tied up the entire game, though. Like, all right, great.
That's what, yeah, wow. Definitely some issues with that. And, I mean, the fan categories we won't worry about too much. I think the only kind of interesting one is probably the most anticipated game, which went to No Man's Sky. The other things in the category were Uncharted 4, Last Guardian, Quantum Break, and Horizon Zero Dawn.
Quantum Break bullshit.
Yeah.
Do we anticipate Quantum Break? Do we even know what Quantum Break is?
No one knows what it is to anticipate it.
I mean, people are anticipating No Man's Sky because the media have been telling you for the last 2.5 years that you have to anticipate No Man's
That's
fucking
exactly
Sky.
right. I think No Man's Sky is going to suck, but the anticipation level of everyone is through the roof because everyone's like,
It might.
it's so good. It's going to be, oh my God, it's mine. It's going to change gaming.
I don't think
It ain't
so.
gonna do those
I mean,
things. It ain't going to do those things.
it may go down the Elite Dangerous route of having a universe that really nobody cares about. You know, it's a pool that's miles wide but an inch deep. So the last category, of course, Game of the Year, which was between Witcher 3, Bloodborne, Fallout 4, Metal Gear Solid 5, and Super Mario, and it went to Witcher 3. Does anyone disagree with that?
And this is the thing a lot of people were complaining, like, there were so many other good games. If you look at what was in the nominated category, it doesn't even matter. There is no other argument. If you just look at the nominated category, Fallout was a mess. Metal Gear Solid was a fun mess. Like, the
last third of the game is also a fucking disaster. It wasn't finished.
Yeah, like Mario, like Witcher is out of the games that were there. I'm sure.
I don't think there's any contest out
Johnson
of the
could go
games
on
that
for like a 25-minute argument about how Undertale should have won or whatever. But out of the games that were listed, there's no comparison. There is, like, Witcher was the best of it. There's a reason why it's like cleaned up every award show. It's clearly the best game of the year.
Yeah.
By far. So, and that's not me being a giant fanboy, which I am, spoiler.
Which you are.
I'm fucking in the game, so shit. Like, but it is. It's a legit, like, it's a phenomenal game. I can't not say good things about it. If it was shit, trust me, I wouldn't be talking. I'd be like, yeah, no, it was great. Like, you know, I wouldn't be as hype as I am for it, but it's a great game. So,
Bloodborne, another reasonable nomination.
Sure.
But the other ones, yeah.
I mean,
like I said, Metal Gear was a mess. Fallout is...
It's a mess.
I always feel like Bethesda gets way too much of a free pass when it comes
They
to their
really
games.
fucking
Me
do.
too.
It bothers the fuck out of me. And Super Mario Maker, I mean, it was a really, really good game, but a game of the year compared to, like,
that's right.
others?
It doesn't belong in the game of the year category. Like, it's a weird,
I feel like that was like, oh, we have to represent Nintendo or like that
in
side
some
of
way.
games
And Nintendo,
somehow.
like, what else did Nintendo release this year that's, like, Game of the Year worthy? And the answer is, well, don't think there isn't anything, actually. Well, Splatoon, I guess. You could probably make the argument for.
Again, argue that's Game of the Year.
I don't think Splatoon's Game of the Year now. It was interesting to see the comparison to last year's Game of the Year, where Inquisition won in a category of games that were all better than it. That was it's like, the game,
about that.
Oh yeah, sponsored by EA, and also Peter Moore from EA was on the fucking advisory board, and Dragon Quest Inquisition won over Bayonetta 2, Dark Souls 2, Hearthstone, and Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor. Like, nah, no way. No way.
And that, I think, out of all the things the Game Awards had, when I saw a lot of people complaining and bitching about the Game Awards, a lot of it was like anger over the amount of like male presence on the jury and stuff like that.
I mean, I definitely saw some. I kind of contributed a little bit to this by saying, I think that if you're going to have a panel, especially of that size, then you should attempt to include as many opinions as possible, and that includes also trying to get, people that represent different groups. I mean, for instance, like a huge amount of that panel was from the US. Mm-hmm. Right? There is some foreign representation, but it's very token. You know, there's like there's bits and pieces from there, and also like only having one woman on the panel did seem to be a bit silly. Certainly.
Also, like token black guy. Oh yeah, like it was a very white male centric panel of jury, and I get that, but it's one of those things where if you're going to complain about that, also please complain about the fact that the advisory board was like, hey, yes, we are also sponsoring, but our games are in it. Like that's equally as awful. Like, both those things are bad. Like, if you're going to complain about one, please complain about the other. If you have a voice to be like, yes, there are a lot of white males in there, please be like, also, those white males happen to own a bunch of the companies that have.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like,
awards.
this year, that's not true, though. Like, last year, the advisory board had people from Ubisoft, Nintendo. I mean, fucking Reggie was on the advisory board for the show. You know, and Nintendo won Developer of the Year. You know, Peter Moore was on the advisory board for the show from EA. Dragon Age Inquisition won Game of the Year. The actual advisory board this time around did not have people from developers on it. Like, it didn't. It was all press outlets. You know, PC Gamer, Polygon, Game Informer, Games Radar.
The advisory board?
Yeah.
Not just the jury, but the advisory board.
No, the advisory board
had
was Peter Moore,
Reggie.
and Kojima,
What, in 2015?
Yes.
Reggie.
Oh, shit, you're right. Yeah, sorry, I'm totally wrong.
Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Sean Layden was on it.
Yeah, you're right.
Rockstar
You're
Games,
absolutely
Valve.
right. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I'm a complete
That's
idiot.
about to
I
be
apologize.
Wait, did I read like something totally wrong earlier?
There's basically 3 advisory boards. The jury and the advisors are all press guys. And the esports advisory panel was all esports guys. And then the advisors were all from developers. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And publishers.
How are the advisors different from the jury?
Who knows?
That's a great question.
Like, what do they do that's different?
Well, I'm going to assume that the advisory board hopefully did not have an influence on the decision of who was nominated and won the awards.
Right.
Well, I've always kind of assumed, just by the name advisory board, that they suggest things, which is sketchy, right?
like, hey,
be like,
first
here's
like,
some
Reg-
pretty good games if I
That
do
we
say so
happen to
myself.
make.
Yeah,
Why
so
don't
they're
you
like,
consider
time for
these?
best multiplayer shooting, and Reggie's like, great. Have you heard about Splatoon?
Maybe they have a rule, like you can't suggest any games that you develop.
I don't know.
Like you have to
we-
suggest...
I would love to know if they had such a guideline or any.
Me
I-
too.
we don't
I
know a
would
lot
also
about what-
love to know that.
I don't know what the role of the advisory board is exactly versus the jury. You know, the jury makes perfect sense. I know what that's for, and I know why they have a separate esports panel, because it's a very specialist subject.
Yep.
And honestly, the people they had on that panel, bang on, across the board. I wouldn't disagree with anybody on that panel. Absolutely right. But the advisor board, definitely a little bit odd. I mean, but, you know, going back to the juries and advisors, yeah, I know that I think really there's also a problem with, I'm pretty sure the people that were asked, like the organizations, had some say in who they sent. So as a result, if they sent a bunch of males, that's kind of their own fault.
And that's actually what I heard. Like, when that big thing came out, and a lot of like, there was a lot of up in arms social justice going on. A lot of the companies were like, "Look, we were told send people, and so this is like who we picked." And so you can't, like, that's not Jeff's fault. That's
No.
like, he said, "Give me people," and they're like, "All right, here you go." And
If that's what he genuinely did and just said, "Give me people," then that is. I don't think it's entirely that. He probably did pick some people.
Not.
Like, he probably picked Jeff Gersman and all that kind of thing. But
Right.
and Robert Koo from Penny Arcade. But for the most part, yeah, if they actually told the publication send people and they sent, you know, a bunch of white American males, then that's their fault. I mean,
A couple of places did say like they made it a point to send off their female employees instead.
but
That was
there
like,
was
shoot.
still only one female employee on the entire panel. That was Chelsea Stark from Mashable, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no other
I
females
thought there
on
was
that
a
list.
second one. I could have sworn there was a second one.
Unless
They changed their mind. Or
there
it
are some
wasn't
names who maybe are female here that I can't tell, like Tal, Woody. I don't know who these people are. I mean,
couldn't tell you.
you know, but as I say, like that does definitely seem to be a bit of a self-inflicted problem
Yeah.
from these publications. But I do think, yes, you absolutely should have a varied jury, because this is not a case of pick the most qualified. You know, this is not. I know the bullshit that went on with the fucking the cabinet in Canada lately, where people were up in arms with that it was 50-50, even though actually the way that the cabinet set up there is that it's kind of designed to work that way. Like, you just get the most qualified. Like, I mean, on the basis of what criteria, though? There's not a point system. It's like, well, damn, there was a 6-star guy here, but I can only get my 5-star Kit Fisto because I've got to fulfill my Jedi diversity quota. It doesn't work that way, especially in a subjective judging panel. It's always good to have varied opinions. You know, I think there were way too many people from the US here. Like, you've got a bunch of Japanese games and you have one Japanese dude from Famitsu in your entire jury panel.
Yeah, and then there's a few bones. There's one, like a UK guy, Brazil guy, a German guy, a guy from Spain, a guy from France, a guy from Mexico.
There's actually 2
a
French
guy from
guys,
Japan.
interestingly
There's
enough.
2 French guys there?
Yeah, 2 French.
And 2 UK,
Yeah.
and then a guy from Italy and a guy from Canada. But like, yeah, the vast majority is from the US, and I get it because it's a US award show. So I mean, you know, I understand that. But with that said, video games have a wider influence than just the US.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I know, crazy, right?
Yeah, no doubt about that. It's okay though. They got the Bulgarian representative in for the esports panel, so they're good there. Mr. Radoslav Kolev from Gosu Gamers represent Bulgaria.
I'm just insulted Jeff didn't ask me to be on the voting panel.
Yeah,
I just
cool.
don't get it. I thought we connected that one time we were at a Square Enix event.
I mean, I do feel that the jury is
moment.
the jury panel's a little bit sort of behind the times still, especially when they have a category
Just
called
like every jury panel, man.
Of course, like you've got a category called Trending Gamer, which is clearly like pointing out streamers and YouTubers and like new media, and you don't really have, outside of Jeff Gersman, who kind of think straddles the line between the two, you don't really have a single example of a new media person on your jury advisor panel. It's all old school websites. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, all right, great. So you know you're going to get a very specific kind of opinion there, and I think if you want a better jury panel next year, you bring in people from other areas. You know, you actually recognize that streaming and YouTube is a huge, possibly the biggest factor now in game taste making. So not having anyone that is involved in that on the panel when you're judging your Game of the Year awards is probably a bit stupid.
Well, I mean, they threw a bone to DJ Wheat, so I feel like...
Yeah, but that's
like,
for esports. I mean, you know, they didn't have a choice there. They got the best esports guys in, and they're always inherently in streaming. And to be honest, like, esports-wise, there was only 1 or 2 esports categories, Esports Game of the Year and Esports Player of the Year, which were both fan-voted.
I mean, yeah, there were a few that were there. But you're right, and those were the categories that they almost were like, we're going to just sort of really quickly brush through these really quickly. So, yeah, all right, that's that.
There was still a lot of that, and that still bothered me, by the way, that a lot of the categories were brushed over. They had a shorter show this time around, and the thing is, even in the 3-hour show, they brushed over a bunch of awards last time, which I was bothered by, because they're like, you know, it makes some awards feel less important than others.
By the way, what won Esports Game of the Year? Because when you go to the website...
Was there an esports? I don't think there was an esports game of the year.
It says Esports Game of the
there
Year,
was, yeah, okay, yeah.
Won.
Counter-Strike, which I think is totally fair. I don't know why Advanced Warfare was on there, but yeah, Hearthstone's on there, lol. StarCraft isn't even on the fucking esports game of the year. The thing is, it's all, those were fan-voted anyway. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I think CSGO has had the most explosive growth this year. I think CSGO is a totally fair choice. It's grown hugely.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. But they did brush over a lot, and they wasted a lot of time with pointless music acts, as always. I have no problem with the tribute to God.
Satoru Iwata.
Yeah, thank you. Before I embarrass myself, I was like, the tribute to Shigeru Miyamoto. I'm like, oh shit. I'm terrible with names, but yeah, the tribute to Iwata was great. It was heartfelt. It was exactly what I think it needed to be. There was a lot of wasted time during the show that could have been spent in different ways. You know, it seemed to me like they didn't cut down the bits that they should have cut down. You know, like getting rid of all the music acts. Do a fucking award show. Stick to it being an award show. Why waste time with music acts? Do the music at the end.
Props to them for coming out and saying, we want you to stream it. We want you to commentate it, though, this
Yes.
year.
Yeah, great decision.
Props to them for that.
Yeah, I wonder how much Twitch had to do with that, because that E3 also let people do that. And it's an interesting emerging idea, and it's something I think that actually came from South Korea. They did a lot of that on a South Korean streaming service called Afrika, where it's like you would kind of commentate. I think they called them, I may be completely wrong here, like VJs or something along those lines. And just this idea that you take a kind of clean feed of something and then you kind of talk over it and you add your own spin. I think that was really good. I watched JP's stream and it was fucking hilarious. I enjoyed the show a lot more as a result of watching JP and the crew talk over it. So that was great.
Yeah. That's probably the best and smartest thing that they did.
Yeah. I think if I'm feeling up to it next year, I'll definitely do that. Because that to me was a lot of fun.
I did it last year.
Yeah? Cool.
I didn't this year because I was busy working on other things, but I was happy to see an email saying, please do.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I am definitely this coming year, I'm going to start my going around to conventions and give awards to people at
Ah,
conventions.
you're going to be that
thing.
guy? Okay.
Yep, and they're going to be all for like best jiggle effects and like easiest game to beat people who don't know what they're doing. Yeah, it's going to be great.
That's exactly what you want. So, I guess conclusion on Game Awards. I mean, my opinion on it is, like, I don't think they really improved a lot from last year. I don't think cutting the time down really helped them because they still wasted time in silly areas.
Again, I still couldn't tell that it was shorter.
Yeah, I couldn't either. It still seemed like it was dragged out and there was so much time wasted on, like, a bunch of sponsor stuff. And I understand you've got to fund the show somehow, but... You know, I did not need to go back to the AMD Gaming Lounge every 5 minutes to hear somebody lie about Battlefront. Come on. That's silly. The music acts were a waste of time. They, again, glossed over a bunch of awards that really shouldn't have been glossed over. I think that if you're going to give the same award to people multiple times, you should probably give them one speech and then just kind of move it along. You know, having Her Story woman come up repeatedly was kind of a bit weird. It's like, you know, you're going to gloss over some awards completely, and yet the woman from Her Story gets to give 2 speeches. It's a bit strange.
Even CD Projekt Red had like 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah, the same with CD Projekt Red.
Give them best role-playing game, best developer of the year at the same time, and then save game of the year for the end because, you know, that's your bang.
But at least CD Projekt was like real quick with what they had to say. They got there and were like,
they did not
hey,
waste
everyone in Poland, we did it, and they just beat out.
Great,
And it's like, all right, yeah.
Big shout out goes to the Industry Icon Award again, best part of the show, like it was last year. The fucking Westwood Studios, that was so cool.
That was great.
I'd watch a whole documentary about like because it was involved Blizzard and the development of RTS and how like one company was building on what the other was doing. It was so cool. I was really impressed with that segment of the show. That was clearly the best bit of the show.
I love the like sort of arms race bit, and it explained a lot about how like amazing those games became so quickly, and it was fantastic.
Yeah,
that was pretty great.
What did the rest of you think about it? How would you improve the show, Dodger?
How would I improve the show?
Yeah,
I would get more people involved in the show that the gaming community would actually recognize. I don't know.
So, I mean, you're talking about just chucking out the weird presenters that have barely any connection to the games industry, or...
Yeah, make it so that the panels that you put together are people who are actively involved in the industry right now. Make it so that the host is someone that everybody would be like, oh, yeah, they're legit. Like, I know them. Like, just
build
overall, build cred, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, because right now I think even though we spent 2 hours talking about this show... In the end, I think for the most part, people watch that and were like, well, that's a bullshit awards show anyway. Right? Like that's kind of been how a lot of people feel about this awards show over the last couple of years.
I this is one of those things where being like the realist that I am, when I look at like the things that Jeff had to do in order to get it done, like it's sad, but like all the pandering to EA and all that shit, like that's how he paid to make it happen. So like this is his passion project, and this is like the thing he wants to do. And God bless him for it, because it's cool. I think it's cool. It sucks that he has to, like, it's very obvious. Like, even he's like, I don't want to sell out this much, but in order to make this fucking show happen,
I've got to do it.
You have to see 90 videos. Like,
Jesus,
it sucks, but that's like the way it is. And if I had to change anything, I mean, I think it would be, first, Dodger's suggestion, but I also think that keeping it still a high level of professionalism, like, look, as much as I want to see, like a Pewdie or Markiplier host the award show, I don't. I want it to be like a real host, but who's in the gaming industry, who's just a Let's Player. I wouldn't want any of us here to host
Michelle Morrow would be a fantastic option. Somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many.
I don't know, fucking Red Eye do it. Red Eye stuck on the esports panel. Red Eye is one of the best hosts in gaming, period. Like, he is a consummate professional who could have nailed that entire show easily.
Yeah, there's so many better ways. What they went for is they went for, like, social media people, and that's not necessarily gaming. And it's like, all right, these people have a wide social media audience, but they're not a gaming audience. No one's here to see some of these people because they're cool gamers. It's one of those things where that's something they could easily change. It's obvious they're not going to be able to change the amount of ads and shit they're going to be there. Like, it's just, in order to make this happen, he's going to have to sell out a little. That's just the way life is, because really, there's not a big gaming awards here in the States anymore. because Spike butchered those.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, now we have to like, he's trying to like build it up, and I respect him for that. I think that's cool. I'm with Dodger though. In order to make it feasible changes, you have to go and get people who are like legitimately in the gaming world right now. Like people who, when people see them, they're like, oh yes, I'm aware of his or her work on said thing, and they are very entertaining. I'm thrilled to watch them.
What I would do is actually cut the categories in half, and I'd give each category the time it deserves. I would slash it, because I would rather have 5 awards that mean something that are properly explained than 10 awards that don't. I mean, even like yes, Dodger.
But like, we even during this show have had a couple of moments where it's like, oh, well, that award was too vague. Like, all of those games shouldn't have been in the independent award.
That's a fair point.
Right?
Well,
like, stuff like that. It's hard.
But with that said, you can if you cut it down, you can explain why those games, like you can do like, you know how sometimes on the Oscars for like movie of the year, they give you like a little clip of like the movie? It could be like best indie game, and they show you like people describing the reasons why they voted for like
that's always the best part, and that's
the nominees.
That's the weird thing about like having a jury advisor panel and then not having a single one of them speak during the show. Because what I want to hear about those, you know, if I saw a game come up there, I want to see a couple of these guys from the advisory panel say why they think it should be there. That would have given me a lot more context, I feel.
No, guys, Krender would be terrible. Krender would be a terrible
awful. I know what the
host.
hell you're talking about. No, that's
But
awful.
like, here's examples. Best fan creation, scrap it. Esports team of the year, scrap it. Most anticipated game, scrap it. Esports player of the year, I would say scrap it. It's a gaming
Trending
award show,
gamer,
not an
scrap
esports
it.
player. Yeah,
I will say, as a
Esports-
recipient of the Trending Gamer Award, get rid of the Trending Gamer Award.
Scrap it. Esports game of the year, sure, you can include that as a game that like had an influence on shit. Maybe instead of esports game of the year, just make it best multiplayer, guys. Best multiplayer, like just cram it into there.
There already is a best multiplayer.
No, but that's what I'm
category.
saying.
You mean just like
cram it
combine
into
them?
there.
I see.
Yeah. Like there's, games for impact. Get rid of that shit. Like that's.
It doesn't
I
make
mean,
any. It's a category that means nothing.
Either one, it doesn't make any sense, or two, it's a little insulting. Either way you go, it doesn't like it. All right, whatever. I'm not sure why that's there. Yeah, there's a lot of things that don't need to be here, and you just cut it down, and then explain things. There's your award show. Just get rid of half the things on here. TB's right.
All I'm saying is fucking Arbitrary Awards last year was 90 minutes long, and I said more about games in 90 minutes than these guys have in 6 hours total. You know, I know that, not to blow my own trumpet, but that's a fucking good video, and you should go watch it.
Go 90. Sponsor TVs.
Yeah, I'll go get Go 90 to ruin it for you, but it really comes down to, like, I want games to be properly celebrated. And the thing is, like, Jeff wants this as well. I know this because he's told me this. Like, we've had these conversations. Jeff's heart is in the right place.
Yep.
But he's battling with the realities of what this show has to be versus what he really wants it to be. And it's a bit unfortunate. But I just don't feel that any awards really have any meaning unless you give context as to why that game won in the first place, outside of the words of the person that receives the award. Because you never get them turn around and say, yeah, this is why we won, because we were better than you fuckers. Hey, I'd pay to see a show like that. That would be great. Anyone that gets to win gets to rag on their competition? Hell yeah. That would be amazing. But without that context, all of these nominations and all of these awards are utterly meaningless. That is my problem with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Here's what I will say. We should eventually wrap up here.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, we're definitely
more importantly,
overrunning.
everyone's gonna want us to talk about Square Enix. Here's what I'll say: we shouldn't ever talk about them again. They're dead to me. I don't ever want to talk about them again. We're moving on. I never want to talk about them again. They almost had me. They almost had me with Final Fantasy VII, and then they immediately shat in my mouth because I was like,
that
done.
gameplay trailer where you like, and then
and-
episodic. Oh,
I'm done. I got nothing else. I'm like a disappointed parent. I'm not mad. I just don't care anymore. I just don't care.
You're going to make your mistakes, and then one day you'll come back to your mother and say, you were right. You were right.
So,
I don't even have a problem with them making it episodic. I don't even have a problem with that.
I don't care.
I don't care.
I didn't hate what I saw for the gameplay trailer because I know a lot of people are like, "This isn't the original game." Well, it's like, no,
You can go play the original game.
You already have the original game.
I loved everything I saw. I loved everything I saw on there. It was so cool. I'm not a fan of them being like, it's another one of those, like, we're going to take something you love, and we're going to fucking milk this shit. I'm pretty sure Tim Schafer helped make that game. Final Fantasy VII by Tim Schafer.
No, you see, they're making it episodic so they can have amazing cliffhangers. That way you don't know what happens.
Yeah. That'll be great.
No one knows what happens in that game.
No one knows what happens. We're going to change the story.
I mean, I genuinely think that they can't win with Final Fantasy VII. Anything they do is going to piss off a bunch of people. Like, people are like, oh, I just want you to remake Final Fantasy VII with, like, better graphics. Like, well, if you want that, just play it on PC and download some mods, because that's what that game is. And then there were people who are like, no, Final Fantasy VII had some problems. You know, I want them to change the battle system. I want them to maybe make some additions and changes to the story. Like, what do people want? Everyone has a different opinion of what they want out of a remake of Final Fantasy VII. Do they want a remaster? Do they want a remake? Do they want something that's changed? I don't fucking know. They
shouldn't have done it. Like, as a person who loves Final Fantasy games and would love to see a new Final Fantasy VII, the concept, the brain idea of what a Final Fantasy VII could be is better than the reality of what it will be. Every time.
Probably,
Every
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But you could pay $9.99 to keep Eris alive.
They will do that. I hope you understand that. They'll be like, just remove the cutscene, and it's
This
like
is
she
Square
just went on
Enix.
vacation.
Yeah.
They did
She just doesn't
load
come
Rise
back.
of the Tomb Raider, a single-player game with microtransactions, so yeah, I would not put that past them at all. Oh, dear. I don't know. I'll play it when it comes out. I have no investment in Final Fantasy VII, so I feel like I'm the best person in this situation, because I don't care if they fuck it up. I don't care.
Oh.
See,
Although
I'm actually in the mindset that I didn't like Final Fantasy VII all that much. I don't hate the game by any means, but it's also not my favorite Final Fantasy. But the way the new one looks actually looks pretty cool, and I'm into that.
We'll see.
Episodic, you know.
All you need to know is that Final Fantasy VI is now on Steam. That's all you guys need to
It's
know.
the worst version of Final Fantasy VI, though.
It is.
Like, they
It's
could
horrible.
It's just so
But-
bad.
They
But it's
consistently
finally there,
fuck
so
up
we're
their
good.
Steam releases.
Like, that is my favorite Final Fantasy game. Like, you don't fuck with that one.
That's why Jared's awesome. That's why you guys, if you're not subscribed, you should be already, because he's clearly one of the best people in the world for agreeing
Thanks.
that Final Fantasy VI is the best game there ever was.
It is
No.
the best. It is.
Okay. All right, let's wrap up the show very quickly with the few new releases that there are. There are actually very, very few this week, so and I haven't actually posted them to Dodger at all.
I was going to say, I don't...
They're right there. There you go.
There's a game.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going up until the 14th, it looks like.
Yep, not too many games.
So, all right, guys. Today, the 8th, we have Spokojno back to the USSR 2.0.
I don't even know what this is.
Oh,
Like,
it finally got updated. 2.0, finally.
it's a
Oh,
it's a
2.0, I've been
Russian
waiting.
visual novel, is what it is.
Oh, all
Oh,
right.
shit, it totally is.
And weirdly enough, it's actually now been delayed for another 3 weeks, so that's not even relevant. Next.
Oh, man, boo. Earth Defense Force 4.1, The Shadow of New Despair for PS4.
Jesus.
Please don't suck. Please don't suck.
I love the Earth Defense Force series. They're hilarious.
Oh, they just put a review out. What did it get? Oh, they gave it an 8. It might not be bad.
Your poor heart.
I hope. Oh, it's 60 FPS. Oh, it's mine. Game of the year. There we go.
I love how that's the first thing you looked up. by the
Oh,
way.
hey,
What
if you
is-
play
what is the
EDF
frame
games,
rate?
you know the pain. EDF
Yeah.
games run terribly.
to
Like
be fair, he's got a point, yeah.
the frame rate on those games is fucking awful. I got the Vita version. It was like a fucking PowerPoint presentation. No, 1080p 60 enhanced version of Earth Defense Force 2025, which was like the best one anyway. I'm so excited. Is it out
Well,
yet? Can I
now-
buy it now? Is it out yet? It
Yeah,
is.
the Super
It's
Nintendo
out
game
today.
for
Yay! Cool. Next.
Well, you can also buy Earth Defense Force 2 Invaders from Planet Space for your Vita.
No, because the Vita version will
lucky
suck.
duck.
The Vita version will
You
suck.
Lucky duck.
It'll run badly. Don't do it. Buy the PS4 version. It'll run properly. I don't care how good a title that is, Invaders from Planet Space. That is the best title, but I don't care. It'll suck. Don't buy it on Vita, please.
Perfect. Moving
Next.
on to tomorrow, December 9th, we've got Vehicle Simulator. Yeah.
You
Yes.
you fucks. All right, here's the description to this game, and I am deadly serious.
I hope it's a goof, please.
We interrupt this description to bring a message from an avid co-optional podcast viewer. Hey guys, don't worry, this isn't one of those simulator games. This game actually has proper simulation of boats and planes. Happy Hanukkah from Israel. Love the show.
Oh,
I think we can shut the show down now. We've accomplished everything we set out to do here.
I mean, what else is there to do? Like,
Look, if you don't buy this game now,
This game came out in 2009.
these guys have literally played. They Game of Thrones us right now. They literally they red wedding this shit. I was shot with like 15 arrows. Dodger had her throat
cut.
slit. TB got stabbed. His baby is dead now. ProJared is walking off. He's walking off because he gets to live. He gets to live and tell the tale. No, he kidnaps Arya Stark. Jared kidnaps Arya Stark and gets her out of there.
Yeah, okay.
You.
We just got Game of Thrones. Hardcore.
Clever
I'm
girl.
buying the game. I'm buying the game just to say that I own it.
Clever
They won.
fucking
They
girl.
won.
oh my god.
I mean, you can't really follow that, can you? That's.
No, some other games are coming out, so I don't know. Look up your own list.
hear it.
I'm not looking at your game. It's from 6 years ago. I'm not
Just
looking at it. You got all. You played us well. You played us like a damn fiddle.
Did I'm closing the release list. There's no point.
They won. Yeah, they
Holy
just
shit.
won.
The next game isn't even fucking out yet, which is a shame, actually, because it's called Slain. It's a heavy metal-inspired combat puzzle game, which sounds like fun, but that's not actually out until January 27th, so I don't even know why it's on this list. Next...
Not High School Possession, because that one sounds...
I'm sure that is
Possibly
a very
hilarious.
family-friendly
It's an anime
game. Yeah. It is unsurprisingly anime bullshit. Yep.
Great.
Yeah.
What about Red Game Without a Great Name?
Oh, I heard about that. That was on mobile for a while, wasn't it? Red Game Without a Great Name. It's a 2D arcade game where you play a mechanical bird in a hostile steampunk world.
Oh.
Shit. That's
Yep.
cool.
How about Loco Ball?
It's a crazy, fun, physics-based soccer game as opposed to other soccer games that aren't physics-based, apparently. No physics in football, guys. None at all.
Nope, none at all. All right, moving
Looks
on to
awful.
December 10th, we've got the PewDiePie game, Legend
Yep.
of the Brofist,
Which is apparently not awful until...
Support.
I've heard it's not awful.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I think
Yeah.
it's really fun.
I'll have a look at that eventually.
Yeah, support him. He needs it, guys. He's
Yeah, he
struggling.
really needs the
He
money.
those nuns, all of your muns.
Go
Next,
subscribe to PewDiePie.
Next up is called Rhythmic Ultimate.
which is not even a game, it's a synthesizer. Next.
Apparently a port of Lightning Returns.
Oh, thank God,
Get
finally.
it out of there. Get it out of there. No one
It's
cares.
done.
Next.
Next,
Moving on.
Freeze
Moving on.
Me. All one word.
3D platform in the style of the 90s era. Yay.
Great. Total War Attila.
Didn't
That's
that
already
come out?
out.
Am I wrong?
That's already out. Don't know why it's on the list. Next.
Pale Echoes.
An RPG of exploration, critical thinking, and obviously RPG Maker is what that is. Next.
Okay.
This next one is called Cosplay Maker, and I'm frantically searching for it.
What?
Cosplay Maker. A
Honestly?
cosplay management and dating sim. There's your next video series, Dodger.
Dang.
Jesus Christ.
Somebody call Cinnamon Toast Ken because you know he's going to play this game.
Yep.
Like, this is a Ken game. Holy crap.
Oh my god. All right, next up is Crossbow Warrior Legend of William Tell.
It is an exciting platformer with arrows.
I was going to guess a hidden object game.
No. I mean, that would have been a good guess, I think, actually. But...
We've got Port of Among the Sleep.
Yeah.
Got SteamWorld Heist.
Ah, yes, the
that
next one
is.
in the SteamWorld Dig series, which was actually pretty fun. That's for 3DS.
Next up is the game that TB has
Yay!
been asked to buy for days.
Don't
Guilty
fuck it
Gear
up.
Xrd
Guilty Gear
Sign.
Xrd Sign is coming to PC. It's a little late considering Revelator's coming out quite soon, but I'll take it. Guilty Gear Xrd is awesome, and hopefully the port will not suck, and if it doesn't suck, I will tell you and you should play that game.
Next up is Emily Wants to Play.
Fuck that. That looks creepy as shit. No way.
Survival horror in a house.
Yep.
Oh, great.
Nope,
What
bugger
about-
that.
What about Rubled?
Is this Russian?
Yeah. You Russian
Sure.
moneyed?
It's an edit. It's a
Russian money.
mod for Rust. Next.
Oh. Next up is Devillion.
It is a free-to-play MMO action RPG thing.
Cool. On the 11th, we've got Era, the fantasy settlement sim.
Ooh. Hopefully that doesn't suck. And it's an early access. God damn it.
Son of a bitch.
Yep. Next.
We've got Stories of Betham Full Moon.
Stories of...
Old school RPG, it looks like.
Cool. Next up is called Dragon's Wake.
Was that the
2D
6D
platformer.
platformer one? Yeah.
Yep, 2D platformer. Next.
Cool. Next is Devil's Third for Wii U.
Oh
Weird.
god, I can't wait.
Apparently
very excited
terrible.
for this, too.
Absolutely
Oh my
awful.
God.
So I'm
Dude,
told.
I'm super excited.
I'm gonna play it so much. It's garbage. I am so excited.
It looks so bad. I'm in. Yes.
Absolutely.
Next.
I'm so in. Thank you, Jesse.
Next.
Yes.
How about The Glow?
Kind of roguelike elements in a survival game. Next.
Great. Stone Tales.
Stone Tales is not loading. Action platformer featuring the adventures of two brothers on their quest to be the greatest warriors their tribe has ever seen. Interesting kind of aesthetic where I can't tell what the fuck's going on. Looks like it's actually like based on cave paintings. Yeah, based on true cave paintings. Huh, there you go.
All right. And Oh Hi RPGI.
That is a
It's-
terrible name.
Oh,
for
RPG! Those are exclamation points.
Oh,
I looked this up.
Oh.
RPG.
It's basically an RPG where what happens when the heroes lose?
Okay.
Oh, RPG!
Oh, RPG.
Oh, RPG. Huh.
And then on the 14th, we've got Quantum Lock.
Not Quantum Break. Don't get it mixed
No.
up for that.
Quantum Lock.
Yeah, I'm anticipating Quantum Break. At least top
It's
five
a
anticipations.
multiplayer freeze tag
Super
game that's in
anticipated.
early access.
And finally, Balrum.
Balrum. Balrum is an old school hybrid turn-based open world RPG with deep tactical combat, so they claim. There you go.
The
Right.
end. That's it.
We're done. We have overrun quite enough. Thank you very much for this particular show. What's coming up on your channel this week, ProJared?
All kinds of D&D December videos. I just put up my first D&D December tale today, where I recount one of my many amazing stories from my years of playing Dungeons & Dragons. Today's episode is about a fighter who has a ballista shoot at him, and he chooses to catch it.
Very cool. Jesse, what's coming up on the channel this week?
It's the same old fun that is happening. I'm trying to finish up 3 Let's Play series that have taken literally a year. Hopefully by the end of December, we can do it, guys! We can do
I
it!
believe in you.
Dodger, what's going on the channel this week?
Hold on. I need to refresh this really quick just to make sure. Okay. Guys, I am so close to 700,000 subscribers. Like, I'm at 699,987 subscribers. So if you think I'm even remotely funny, please.
She
sub.
isn't at all.
I would love
Hold
to
on.
hit
I don't-
700,000
Hold on.
today. That would be
If
amazing
you're gonna-
on
look,
YouTube.
If you're going to subscribe for remotely funny, go to youtube.com/Jesse Cox. I am barely funny. That is... Get on that. If that's your standard of subscription, jump on that bandwagon over here too. I'll take
If you
your
want
subs.
occasionally funny,
you know where to
JonTron.
find
Oh!
that. But yeah, I don't know. I
Okay.
play visual novels, dating sims, point and clicks. Jesse and I might play a weird murder game. And I do a weekly show about the games industry. I would love for you to check it out. Talk about anime, weeb shit, just the whole 9 yards of trash. And on social media, I'm at DexBonus, DEXBONUS. Come hang out, be my friend, subscribe to me.
That about wraps us up for this ever-lengthy show. Join us next week when we'll probably start talking about our Game of the Year bullshit.
I just hit
Hey!
it! Fuck yes!
Quick, unsub from her immediately.
I'm subbing.
You've been watching the Crossroad
I'm
Podcast.
subbing right
Bye.
now.
Goodbye.
I'm not even subbing.